You are listening to Let's Talk Trio on podcasts. Keep up with the latest episodes by downloading the Podbean app or stream episodes via our social media accounts. Search for Let's Talk Trio on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. This episode is sponsored by Student Access. Student Access, the leader in Trio software. Student Access is an online database solution that allows Trio programs to track their students' information, connect with students by text messages, streamline the APR, and work from anywhere, all online, with automatic updates for changes from the Department of Education. Their technical support team includes former Trio staff and has over 50 years of combined experience working with Trio. Make it easier to focus on your priority, the students. For more information and to request a free demo, visit their website at www.studentaccess.com or call them toll-free at 1-800-801-1232. That website again is www.studentaccess.com or 1-800-801-1232. Be sure to share your favorite episodes on your social media by tapping that share button. This is a great way to support the podcast. Now here's your host, Juan Rivas.
Thank you, Amelia, for that wonderful introduction. Hello, listener, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Trio. I am your host, Juan Rivas. In today's episode, we have Dekendrick Murray, who is a four-time Trio alum with Talent Search, Upward Bound Math Science, Student Support Services, and the Trio McNair Program. Dekendrick is on the podcast to talk about his educational journey, his various Trio experiences, and some insight into persistence in education. A huge thanks to our sponsors, Angelica Villalpando, Rosario O'Reilly, Dr. Ryan Barone, Dr. Jamie Motley, Jaded Electronics, Angelica Valdez, TrioJoblist.com, and Student Access. Thank you all so much for your continued support of this podcast. You too can be a sponsor of the Let's Talk Trio podcast. Head on over to Patreon and search for Let's Talk Trio. Choose one of 4 patron levels. You can support this podcast for as little as $1 a month. $1 a month goes a long way in supporting this podcast. If you own a business and would like to advertise on Let's Talk Trio, connect with us via email at letstalktrio@gmail.com. Again, that email is letstalktrio@gmail.com. If you would like to nominate a participant, staff, or alumni to be on the podcast, send us an email at letstalktrio@gmail.com. That email again is letstalktrio@gmail.com. Again, a great episode featuring Dekendrick Murray. We had a bunch of great laughs, great conversation, and just a great discussion overall. Dekendrick, thank you so much. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. Hi, Trio Nation. My guest on the Let's Talk Trio podcast is a 4-time Trio alum for the Trio programs at Trio Talent Search at Florida A&M University, Upward Bound at Florida State University, Upward Bound Math Science at Morehouse College, and Trio McNair at the University of Florida. He holds a Master of Science in Instructional Leadership and Organizational Development from Jacksonville University and a Bachelor of Science in Family, Youth, and Community Sciences from the University of Florida. He currently serves as the Executive Director for Student Access and Success at North Carolina Central University. Our guest received the Florida Trio Achiever Award in 2018 and has remained professionally active within the Trio community. In his time off, our guest enjoys songwriting, the gym, hanging out with his wife Sabrine, and their daughter Kendall. Welcome to the podcast, Dekendrick Murray. Dekendrick, welcome.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here today.
I'm so excited to be connecting with you. So glad to have you on. How are you?
Doing pretty good, man. Summertime here in North Carolina, and so it's like that nice weather, a little bit
nice
warm,
yeah.
A little bit cool. We're in that nice time right now, so I'm enjoying that.
Right on. So almost the summertime. I guess transitioning into summer for North Carolina. How are things over there?
Yeah, definitely, man. The weather is great. We're preparing for summer programs here, so As you mentioned, I work for North Carolina State University, executive director for student access and success. And so we have the luxury of overseeing our 2 upward bound programs, in addition to our TRIO SSS disability program and student accessibility services. And right now we're gearing up for all of our summer programs. So we're hot in the moment right now.
Wow. Very, very busy time of year. For most universities and colleges, April and May is a time that simultaneously is both busiest and it's slowest. I think for student support services, it slows down for a little bit, but for upward bound, it seems to accelerate. Where does that land for you? I mean, you seem to be kind of in the business season, right?
Yeah, man. You know, I'm a little bit of both places right now. I'm slowed down a little bit, but also gearing up for our upper bounders to get on campus. They'll be on campus starting June 25th that week. So we're gearing up for that. And you know, with our SSS program, as you said, it kind of slowed down. So, you know, our students are nice. They're getting ready for summer internships, and going back home and all that kind of good stuff. So that's been pretty fun. But now we're in that middle gear. So super excited, though. My team and I are actually doing an in-service training next week. So we're going to be doing some professional development, you know, getting away from campus a little bit so that we can kind of focus and reset and just prepare for summer at its finest.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So those in-services that you're talking about, is that usually a good time to disconnect from the university and get to kind of feel the team a little bit more, like where they're at?
Definitely. You know, we get a chance to kind of discuss, you know, some of our highs, some of our lows, and as well as just get to know each other personally. I'm really big on team building and engagement and stuff like that. So, you know, we're learning about each other's families. I don't know if you've ever seen Wild and Out, but there's like this one song that they do like at the family reunion, you know, who we're introducing. And so we're doing activities like that so we can build that sense of community. We're talking and we're having those hard conversations like, hey, maybe I hit the mark here, maybe I didn't hit the mark there. And we're also just kind of planning out our calendar for the upcoming year. You know, as we've kind of expanded in programs, we strive to be really strategic in what we're doing and how can we cross collaborate, you know, and how can we bring in other campus partners to kind of support us. So it's a truly a good time. We'll be doing that for about 3 days. So we're super excited about that.
Wonderful. What is something that you're very proud to have accomplished this semester or so far this year? Personal or professional?
Yeah, definitely. So I'll give you 2. I would say one from the professional standpoint is, so this year, so fun fact, at North Carolina State University, we created a conference. It's called the TRIO Student Access and Success Conference.
Ooh, interesting.
And so we created it maybe about 2 years ago, really to, you know, provide student development opportunities for, you know, our different TRIO colleagues throughout the nation, as well as locally and different things like that. Our first conference, we had about 59 attendees, but this year's conference had over 230 people in attendance.
Wow.
And so, you know, that was like a major accomplishment for our team. Just really seeing the hard work of promoting and interacting, and even having some schools come back from last year, you know, to come back and bring new students for this year. So that was really exciting as well, too. And then, of course, you know, receiving those upward bound grants this year, I spent a lot of late nights working, me and my team grinding and different things and stuff like that. So to see those kind of pay off, and, you know, we brought 2.87 million to the university. That was really a highlight of this year. And then I would say personally for me, one of my personal biggest highlights is I think that I've become more consistent in the gym. so I'm one of those kind of people where I set out lots of goals and lots of not lots of ambitions, but lots of goals concerning my ambitions and different things like that.
Yeah.
And so one of the ones on my list that I kept not meeting the mark on was going to the gym consistently. I just want to be at the gym. It's a few days a week, you know, just kind of have something going in my life. And so this year I've been so much more consistent than in any other year. And it's been really exciting kind of seeing myself on the journey, because I went from, again, not going to a gym at all to, you know, getting the membership at the YMCA and all that kind of stuff, and just loving it, man. So just going there, put on my headphones and just zone out a little bit.
Yeah.
And it honestly kind of helps to just balance life, you know, between, you know, all the awesome work for NCCU, balancing home and different things and stuff like that. So it's kind of like this extra little niche of mine that I can just kind of go into my little personal space. So that would definitely be my personal accomplishment.
Dekendrick, that's amazing. And you're going to have to either lend me some of that energy, because I've been intending to go to the gym, but I keep psyching myself out or not going. So send some energy this way.
Look, I got you, man. I'm telling you. And it's like this journey, man, because there's some days where I'm just like, oh yes, super easy, feel good, feel motivated, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
There's other days it's like, today was a long day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
deserve this break, Kendrick. You deserve to go sit home
Yeah.
and get your chips and
Mm.
cuddle up with your wife and watch Married at First Sight or something.
Yeah.
Like you deserve it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and some weeks are really good, some weeks are, growing. But like I said, this year has been such a great wavelength compared to previous years. So I'm just like, man, if I can keep that up and just really stick to it, I can really kind of get myself in the shape that I want to be in. So
That's wonderful. Dekendrick, that's
I,
awesome.
I joke with my staff and say it's a hot dad summer. So
Well, hats off to you, my friend. I think that's awesome, setting out your goals and accomplishing them. So I'm gonna actually now kind of give an inverse question of what goal do you have yet to accomplish or is in your radar that you're like, I really want to get to that goal?
Yeah, so I would say personally, one of the goals that I'm really super excited that I would love to accomplish is I really want to be a homeowner one day.
A homeowner, yeah.
Like a homeowner and not just like a homeowner, but multiple homes. I'd love to be able to have rental properties and different things and stuff of that nature. So that would be like a personal goal that I have yet to accomplish yet. And
Hmm.
then I would say a professional one. So I recently got accepted into a doctoral program. So super
Congratulations.
excited to kind of, press on through that over the next 3.5 years and come out on the other side. So that's definitely one of those goals. It's so funny because so many people all the time say, Dr. Murray, Dr. Murray. I'm like, oh, it's just Mr. Murray for right now. And they're like, oh, well, we'll speak it into life. I'm like, yes, go ahead and speak that.
That is right manifestation. It's going to happen, and they're speaking it. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
What was? Yeah,
and I believe life and death in the power of the tongue. So, as a believer, I'm like, hey, go ahead, speak that. I declare and
absolutely.
decree it. And so, that's one of those goals that I'm super excited about, and just super excited for the journey. As a person who has accessibility needs, I plan to get involved with the student disability office at the university. I plan to take advantage of all the resources out there as a higher education professional, just in general myself. And so, it's really one of those exciting things that, man, I think once I get to the end of it, it's going to be like, wow, you did it,
Absolutely.
Joe.
Absolutely.
Like you did it.
Absolutely. What is it? So what is something that you hope to gain from getting a doctoral degree?
Definitely, man. So my program specifically, so shout out to Liberty University. But I will be getting my doctoral degree in community care and counseling with a focus specifically on trauma. So I'm super excited because, oftentimes, one, in our lower income, first generation communities, but also just underserved communities in general, people of color, stuff like that. I really want to work within, those communities, which I'm a part of myself, but to work with our youth and,
Mhm.
help them to process the different traumas of life, whether that be traumas as a child, but also traumas as a young adult. And what does that look like?
Yeah.
So, over the next 3 years, I'm going to be studying various types of trauma from childhood to things with family to things with, just life.
Mhm.
I've taken my first class is actually going to be this class centered around group counseling. And so
Oh
I've gotten
wow.
my textbooks in. I'm super
Oh wow.
excited.
Yeah.
They started to come on in. So multicultural counseling
Oh my
therapy and
goodness.
community psychology. And so I'm
Yeah.
just really, really excited because one, I love to learn, but two, I'm really excited for this because I just really want to continue to give back to the community, and
Mm.
continue to just inspire and empower youth and young adults. And so I'm really, really, really excited to kind of expand my knowledge in that area so that I can be more, even more beneficial to my pre-college students, but also to my college students. So definitely, definitely.
Absolutely. That is super important. So earlier in the podcast, I had mentioned that you are a songwriter and you now getting into the gym. How did that happen for you? How did you get into that?
Yeah. So okay, so the gym kind of came about. The gym has been a goal for like years, man. I remember being in college. I would drop my little vision boards and I'm like, all right,
Hmm.
I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna go to the gym. And the gym, like I said, for years, so many years, it was never getting done. I would accomplish everything on the list except for the gym. So I said, you know what, something has to shift. And another part of it was just generally health. On a personal note, my grandfather actually passed away at 35 years old from a heart attack.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
And yeah, and so, I'm just turned 31 in December of last year, And so, I aspire to live a pretty long life. And so, I just want to make sure that I'm taking care of myself, my health, and just optimizing. And so I started to kind of put a focus there. I have a little one. My daughter's 4 years old. She'll be 5 this summer.
Oh,
And so, I want to see her grow old and see her get married and see her go to college and, all these kind of things. And I want to grow with my wife, I want that
absolutely.
notebook love, where we just both go and pass away together at the end of life.
I love that aspiration. I love that. Yes.
And so I'm like, how can I do some of the natural things, right, to kind of work on that. So that's how that piece kind of came about. And
Okay.
then songwriting, man. So fun fact, my mom raised me, my two sisters, and my three cousins in a 3-bedroom trailer, $28,000. So shout out to now Dr. Tracy Daniels. So she's now a
Oh,
doctor.
that's
So shout out to my
amazing.
mom. So she went to school, ended up starting school while I was in high school. She started her bachelor's degree. Then she got her master's. And then she went on to get her doctoral degree. And so
Wow.
just a really, really, really inspiring woman. But as a child, me and my sisters, my cousins, we had like this little group and we just kind of like
Mm-hmm.
make up songs and all that kind of stuff. And, just do little dance routines. And
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
kind of kind of super fun. It just kind of stuck with me. But as an adult, I write a lot of worship songs. As I
Mm.
mentioned, I'm a believer. And so I love just writing these songs to God and just kind of talking about either one, overcoming, acknowledging who he is to me,
Mm-hmm.
and just really kind of just spending that time. And so, maybe one day I'll have some I'll be like a ghostwriter or something for like a worship
Oh, there
leader
you
or
go.
something like that. We never
I
know. We
love
won't
that.
close the
Yeah.
door. But I just love it, man. And it's always crazy. Like if I feel overwhelmed, I can just go to like my little notepad and just kind of start singing one of the songs that I've written, and I find the immediate piece that I might need for that moment, in addition to reading my Bible. So that's
That's
kind of
awesome.
how that piece got started as well too.
So, Kendrick, it sounds like you take your creative energy, you channel it in your notepad to really, as you say, you do the songwriting, which brings you peace and a lot of. It sounds like a lot of creative energy too.
Definitely, man. Definitely, man. It is so crazy. And, I, as a professional, right, it's so crazy for me how much my faith is intertwined in that. Even just
Hmm.
the ideas that I'll get. Like, I remember one time I was actually talking to one of my old supervisors, and we were getting ready to rewrite the SSS grant for this last grant cycle. And this is before it came out, before they dropped the request for proposal. And I
Hmm.
told her, I said, hey, we really need to build in like this career exploration piece and do like some career counseling, some virtual career trips or something like that. And
Hmm.
then they dropped the request for proposals, and it was all about, part of the CPPs were about career and career exploration and stuff like that.
Wow.
And so I just really
Yeah.
feel like, the Lord is with me and he's guiding me and leading me, and just some of the creative ideas, the time frames, the different things. I just feel like a lot of stuff is divine. And so I just I'm like, all right, God, whatever you're leading, whatever you're saying, I just try
Hmm.
to be in step. If he's telling me to watch this or watch that, I'm trying to, be cautious about that. And if he's telling me run, I'm like, all right, let's run, let's go, let's go. I don't know if you've ever seen that TikTok, but there's this one TikTok where the person's just like, go, and they're like running. They're like, hold on, and they're just kind of swinging everywhere, And so I just prepare myself for whatever that ride looks like. If that's
Yeah,
gonna be quickly,
absolutely.
if we're gonna take some breaks, if we're gonna sit down.
Mm.
And I'm not perfect at it. There's days I get up and I'm like, all right, God, I kind of got 15 billion things going on. I don't know if I've
Hmm.
gotten to my word yet, stuff like that. But I really have just tried to keep Jesus and God for me at the center of my very being. And as I've done that, man, just the amount of peace, the amount of joy, and just the amount of confidence that doesn't have to do with anything for me,
Hmm.
I just trust in him. So it's
That's
definitely been
amazing.
helpful.
The Kendrick, that just to hear you say talk about your faith is amazing. And again, just a bunch of kudos and congratulations on getting grant awards, and that's amazing. So we're going to be at this point of the podcast. We're going to rewind the clocks a little bit because what we're
Okay,
going to do
okay.
is we're going to reflect on your upbringing and everything that's happened since you were little. Do you remember what you wanted to be when you were little?
Oh my gosh, dude, I remember so clearly. So I literally told my wife this. So when I was about well, I had to be in middle school. And I remember I used to always draw like this little house, like this, well, it's like this nice house with a
Uh-huh.
little white picket fence, like literally the stories that you hear about. But the
Yeah,
white
yeah.
picket fence, it was me, it was my wife, maybe like 2 or 3 kids, and a little
Mm.
dog.
Uh-huh.
Right. So that was the first part. But
Yeah.
then it was like, okay, well, let me think about careers, right? And so I was set on one of two careers, one being a pharmacist or being a math teacher.
Wow.
So
You were thinking it out already.
literally, man. And so it was crazy. So when I started college, I started as a pharmacy major. And
Uh-huh.
so I said, all right, let me check this on out. So I was taking my classes, all that kind of cool stuff.
Mm.
But I had kind of felt like I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do this fully. But I said, I definitely really like math. I like numbers, all that kind of stuff. Man, I can remember, I remember the periodic table like that. Like
Mm.
it's a thing for me,
Yeah.
numbers, all that kind of stuff is my thing.
Yeah.
And so I ended up switching my major from that to mathematics, actually.
Hmm.
Um, Ended up, but then, life was happening, stuff like that. So I decided not to finish the math degree, but I had taken so many math credits that literally I was able to still become a math teacher.
What?
so so
Really?
yeah, so I
Wow.
became a math teacher. So I graduated college, became a math teacher. That was like my first profession, and I loved it, man. Love my students, and so it was crazy because this dream of having become a math
Math
teacher
teacher. Yeah,
was
yeah.
still something I was still able to do. Love my students, and
That
they're
is
literally like
amazing.
now graduating from college. I'm like, man, I'm getting old, like, and I taught them as 6th and 7th graders. You know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah, I
like
hear
they're
you.
like literally
I feel
graduating
that.
from college, and some of them ended up following me to the college.
Yeah.
Like when I was
Wow.
when they graduated from high school, they came onto the
Yeah.
college. But I literally remember being on the floor, man, just laying on the floor, just drawing like dee, 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 just living in like this land of, man, I'm gonna have this one day. And
Yeah.
it's so funny. There's like this one scripture that I love that talks about like the Lord gives you like the desires of your heart.
Hmm.
And that
Hmm.
was really, 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 truly a desire of my heart as a kid to, to have this awesome family. And man, my wife is amazing, man. She keeps me so leveled and balanced, and she keeps it so real with me.
Mm.
She does not let me slide, And but it's that love that you need, and it keeps you
Absolutely.
tightened and keeps you moving forward. And she's so supportive. I actually ended up in Trio, like working full time because of her. So like I said,
Oh,
I was a
really?
teacher. Yeah. So I was a teacher. I was
Okay.
teaching math and loving it, loving my students and stuff like that. And then a full-time position came open at Jacksonville University,
Hmm.
to be the first position was actually an academic advisor. And
Hmm.
at that time, she said, you should go for it. And I said, no, because I had always said, at one point in my life, I want to work for Trio. I want to do that at some point in my life.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so she was like, yeah, you should go for it. And I was like, no, and so I let the opportunity just pass on by. And then ironically, within the next 4 months, another opportunity at that same university came open, and it was a program coordinator position. And she was like, dude, you should go for it. You've been talking about this, you're
Hmm.
so passionate about Trio, you're an alum, stuff like that. And so it's like, but it's going to be a pay cut, And at that time, I was a teacher. I was only making like 39,000 anyway. And so I'm like, like,
Right.
lady, we need all the funds that we can get. And it was going to drop me to like literally like 30, 31, 32,000 or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, she's like, but this is what you want to do, invest in yourself, like take the time. And so I jumped out there on faith with her supporting me, and ended up taking on the role, gained so much from that role, moved to becoming a case manager at our community college there, and then an
Hmm.
assistant director, and now then a director, and now an executive director. And so it pays to listen to your
It
significant
really
other. So if
does.
you are married out there, listen to your spouse.
There you
They
go.
have great
Great
wisdom.
advice.
Great advice, right? And
Awesome
even if you're
advice.
not married, listen to your spouse. They may give you some good advice. But two, like trust your process, and it may look different than you originally thought it was going to look. Like I said, it was just a faith jump. And that faith
Mm-hmm.
jump turned into, this and that, and so many different lived experiences. And taking like my first plane ride with Trio in college. I took my first plane ride in college, but then also getting a chance as a professional to go back to DC and lobby and all these different things. So it's like, just take those faith jumps, man. And that's kind of
Absolutely.
like what I ended up doing. Thanks to my wife. So shout out to you, Sabrina. Love you.
Oh, that's amazing. Who had the greatest influence on you while you were in school, whether elementary, middle school, high school, college?
Yes. Oh my gosh, man. A few fun facts. When I grew up as a kid, so my mom, like I said, my mom raised me, my two sisters and three cousins. Later developed this awesome relationship with my dad. So shout out to him. But throughout my life, I felt like the Lord always placed these key like male father figures there to kind of like get me through the different seasons. Like I remember being in elementary school and our principal just took like a liking to supporting me and giving me advice and different things and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of championing me. And that was super awesome too. Even in middle school, having, mentor figures there and stuff like that. And then in high school, I'll never forget Calvin Robinson. If you ever listen to this, he was our mathematics teacher. So again, I think that's also where that love of math, he kept it going. But I was part of this thing called Men of Distinction. And so it was all about male development. We'd meet after school. We'd have real conversations about what is it like to be a male. What are the different challenges that you may encounter? What are the different things that you need to be prepared for? And then we'd even travel every year. We'd take a trip I'll never forget it. We'd go to Memphis, Tennessee every year. Every year we'd go see the MLK, the site where MLK was unfortunately shot down. We see the different museums in the area, and then we'd always travel up to Little Rock, Arkansas, where the segregation, the Little Rock Nine, and the first integrated high school. And so we'd go there every single year. And one of the things that I appreciated was that it kind of just instilled these strong values, right? These values for service and community and giving back. Because on that trip, we'd also always go to St. Jude's Hospital. So that was always a part of the trip too. And we do some community service. And so as a high schooler, in the moment, you may not have thought about, man, like all these different life lessons that you're being taught. But as an adult, like I can reflect on that and see that, like, man, that was really a crucial part of my childhood, growing up and kind of experiencing that. So definitely shout out to Dr. Calvin Robinson for that, because it definitely created, and I guess for me, that greater sense of community, service, and engagement. And then lastly, I definitely have to give a shout out to the trio people in my area that really, like, oh my gosh, they like nurtured and supported. And they were right there with my mom and my grandma and my family, just really supporting me there. So Dr. Angela Coleman, who is like literally like my boss's boss now, Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs at North Carolina Central University, Miss Levia Wiley Jackson, Mr. Robert Gaines, and then Mr. Charlie Davis, of course. But these were like my trio, and Mr. Michael Maxwell. Cannot forget Mr. Michael Maxwell. That's Sayab King right there. But when I was in these trio programs in high school, they were so influential. And then lastly, during my college years, I have to give a shout out to Dr. Samisha Barnes and Dr. Angela Browdy, and Dr. Leslie Pendleton. She's non-trio, but she was all about first generation student success. And so there's just been so many different people throughout my journey that have just kind of like really supported me, advocated for me, and just really helped to steer me in my directions when I was a college student, thinking about my major and what I wanted to finally land on. They were there listening to me, maybe you should look into this. Maybe you should think about that,
Absolutely.
And even as a child, it was that same way, just that constant love and support. And my godmother, oh my gosh, Barbara Reeves, if you ever listen to this, which you probably will not, I'll send it to you just so you can hear this part. Man, she was such a force in my life as a young child, and just really there supporting me, just really there, just championing me, championing my success, allow me to stay with her for a time period. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like all this just amazing stuff. So definitely some great people in my life.
So you had a lot of crucial support, it sounds like, from elementary all the way through college. And like you were talking about, how important that is to be nurtured and to have that support. That's outstanding.
No, it is, man. It's so important. And, even as, if you're a college student listening to this, I encourage you, find your village, even at your colleges. Go and meet your trio staff members, go and meet your first generation student success staff members, go and meet the random tutor person or department director. Right. Find your people, even if it's a faculty member, and, don't feel like you have to talk to these people every day. You can talk to them once a week, twice a month, whatever that looks like, but find those people that you can go to and kind of, get that support. I always tell our students that, we're kind of like that iPhone when it used to have the home button.
Oh yeah.
Like life may be happening, but you could just press that home button and come on back to us. We can
Right.
help you get it figured on out.
Very good.
Don't
like
feel
that
like
analogy.
you're in it by yourself. Don't feel like, you can't ask the questions that you need when life gets really hard, when you're like, man, I think I'm about to fail this class, but I'm not about to fail this class.
Right.
Like, just come and get the help, and we can help you figure out if you need to drop it or if you need to keep it. We're gonna always keep it real with you. So that's one of the things I say about higher professionals. They keep it real. They're not sugarcoated for you.
Right. Oh my gosh.
But they'll definitely be there to support you.
You and I share some similarities in that we both grew up in Trio. So I was Upward Bound in high school and student support services in college. And you're right on the money. It's those folks that really help with that crucial connection to kind of bring you back. So it brought back mega memories of me and you just talking, like my advisor and my Upward Bound director, just kind of like, hey, don't give up on yourself. Like, yes, you had maybe one bad semester, but let's not give up. Let's keep going, right?
That's it, man. That's it. And especially, sometimes we think about being a first generation college student, or even a low income college student, we can be very independent, and so, we either had to get to college by ourselves, we had to find scholarships by ourselves. Sometimes we've had all these different lived experiences that although we may have had support, it feels like sometimes we're fighting by ourselves sometimes. And so learning to be like, okay, somebody's here to help me. Let me receive that. Or maybe they're not going to come to me, but maybe I need to go to them, so I hands down agree with that one.
Dekendrick, I mean, and just really quickly, that's the toughest part I had to learn was, when Upward Bound wasn't reaching out, it was me reaching out to Upward Bound and saying, hey, I need help. Like having to just learn that part. That was kind of hard.
Oh no, it is, man. It's literally that journey, man. And I've had to learn over time, man, because you start to think about the missed opportunities, you start to think about all those different things. And there's another scripture. I know I'm saying a lot of scripture, but
you're good. You're good.
Always flowing with me. But there's this one scripture that also talks about, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, and knock and the door shall be opened. And so I've tried to apply that principle in my life because literally there's always something out there. There's always an answer to a question. There's never a dumb question. There's never this. And like, you just ask whatever you need, and you're going to get some sort of answer. Yeah. So, you could either, ask and get some kind of clarity, or you can not ask and you get nothing.
True. It's so
it's
true.
Like a potential and a loss, When they say you miss all of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
So just give it a shot.
100%. Absolutely. So at this moment, Dekendrick, we're going to talk about your upbringing. What was that like for you? And let's reflect a little bit on that. Yeah. What was that like for you?
Yeah, man. So, as I said, shout out to my mom. She's a trailblazer, man. But growing up in small Quincy, Florida, man, love Quincy. Shout out 850, 7,000 people, literally. My road to get to my house was a dirt road for many years. So literally grew up in like the country. And we actually at one point lived in the state of Georgia. We were so close to the Florida-Georgia line that we lived in the state of Georgia like for literally so many years, and it was just so close.
Really?
But I just remember as a child, just really just being grateful, but also too, just also excited to see the world, wanting to see different opportunities, wanting to travel. And man, when I tell you, once my mom helped me get enrolled in the TRIO program, and shout out to my god sister Valtrice Ford, who brought it to my mom, and to us as a family. But I got involved in TRIO, and it really just, man, the exposure for me, I think that was really one of the things. I remember growing up. And like I said, I grew up in the country, so we found things to make it happen. We found some bricks, we found some tree leaves or whatever. We were outside, we were creative. We made our fun. We'd be in the middle of the woods, building random forts and running through the cornfield. And literally, there's like this picture. I have to find it. It's like the picture of me, my sisters, and my cousins, and we literally are like in our yard, barefoot, T-shirts about dirty,
Yeah.
mud face, just like living our best life as kids. And so I feel like I had one of those childhoods that was so about the imagination and being creative. And I think that's the Lord has really used that to kind of like come out in my life, not because I was like, I feel like I got a chance to dream and kind of
Mm-hmm.
build and stuff like that. And then
Mm-hmm.
when I got into Upward Bound and I just saw potential, man, I just saw like what I could do, the things that I could get exposed to.
Yeah.
My alma mater, where I got my bachelor's degree, University of Florida, I never saw myself going there. And as a
Yeah.
matter of fact, when I actually had applied, I only had applied because we went on a tour there. We went on a tour there with Upward Bound, got a chance to see the campus, all that kind of stuff. And so I was like, okay, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can actually go there and be successful. And then
Mm.
when I applied, I still didn't think I was going to get it. So I kind of started psyching myself out, and I was kind of psyching other people out too. I was like, yeah, it's like, who needs to go to UF? You don't need
Mm.
to go there. Whatever. We don't
So
need
you're
all
already kind
that,
of like
So I
in
was,
your mind checking out.
yeah, basically, I was kind of checking myself out. So if I got the denial letter, it didn't hurt as much, right? And
Mm.
so, and so when I got the acceptance, I was like, oh my gosh, I got in. Wait, we did this. And then the funniest, I think the most funniest thing about my entering college experience was that literally, like I tell you, no lie, Juan, like I had not only got into University of Florida, I got a full ride scholarship.
Oh,
But check
wow.
this.
Yeah.
They sent the letter to my house. The
Mm-hmm.
letter was sitting in my house on like our TV entertainment center for like 2 weeks. And at that
Really?
point, I guess we just really weren't checking the mail. People were
Yeah.
just getting mail out the mailbox because my house was full of people. So
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
was always touching stuff and all that kind of stuff. And so it was literally just sitting on the TV entertainment center. I'm like, Dekendrick Murray. So I opened it. And me and my mom had already talked once I got accepted. We're like, man, well, this would be a great opportunity, but
Mm-hmm.
we need you to find some scholarship money. Like you
Mm-hmm.
gotta, we want to make this an easy college experience for you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like, I'm like, all right, well, perfect. We'll figure it out. I was like, my backup plan, I'll go to UWF. They're offering me like more scholarship money. We'll go there. But then I checked the entertainment. So I'm like, wait, what is this? So I opened the letter. They're like, yeah, this is a full ride scholarship. I'm like, wait, what?
Whoa.
And it just
Yeah.
was sitting there for 2 weeks on my entertainment center. Nobody in the house said nothing. Nobody was like, hey, you got a letter from
Oh my
University of
gosh.
Florida. It was just hanging out. so I reached out immediately because, back then computers weren't what they were
Oh no.
as
Yeah.
they
No.
are now, and I grew up in the country, like I said, we're low income. So we didn't have like regular internet access for a while, all that kind of stuff. So I'm calling the phone lines. I'm trying to, find out,
I hear
logging in the
that.
portals, trying to get the money. Cause I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So ended up finding I received the Matching Florida Opportunity Scholarship Program. So shout out to MFOS for literally helping to fund, support my college education. Shout out to Office of Academic Support as well too, OAS, and the AIM program, because I did a summer bridge program, and basically they worked with me all 4 years as well too. So just that extra level of support from those two offices, man, truly, truly made a difference in college. But it was like I almost missed it because literally there's a deadline that you have to let them know if you're coming, all this kind of stuff. So like the Lord literally just worked it out. Like, I don't know what would have happened if I would have missed that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what is this random letter for you? I'm sitting on the entertainment center. So.
You were destined to find it and still call it in and say, hey, I need this scholarship.
Right. And that's where I met my wife at, man. So it's like, how would that would have missed the opportunity? Missed the college sweetheart, man.
Destiny. Dekendrick, how would your family describe you?
Yeah, I think my family would describe me. And I say this not from my side, but I say this from their eyes. They would call me like presidential or something. They're always
presidential.
Like,
whoa.
They're always like, you should have run for president or something. I'm like, no. That is not an ambition of mine. We are okay here. But I think they're just like super, super excited to, kind of see me and my journey and different things like that. Because like I said, we came from a low income home and different things like that. And so my mom, my sisters, my extended family, they've just kind of seen me just really go out and accomplish my goals and my dreams. And it's hilarious. Like when I sent them the pictures of the recent taping at NCCU, and they're like, "You should run for president." I'm like, no, not at all. That is not what we're doing. But they just think so highly of me. And I'm like, guys, I'm just a human being just like you all, and I appreciate the love. And my sisters, man, they're super awesome. My mom is so awesome. Both of my sisters have gone on to finish their bachelor's degrees. They both went to Florida A&M University. And they both are working on master's degrees as well too.
That's amazing.
And so literally, man, I'm telling you, like, college really just became a passport for our family. And just a tremendous blessing for us in just opportunity. So man, I'm just super thoughtful and thankful to God for that.
That's wonderful. So being in elementary and middle school and high school, what was your feeling about school? Was it something you gravitated toward automatically?
Yes. So I loved math. Reading, oh my gosh, and writing, no. those were not my thing. So like it was so crazy though. Even when like I recently wrote these upper bound grades, I was like really proud of myself because reading and writing were not my thing.
Yeah.
They were not my things. Like every time, I mean, I would always, be proficient in it and stuff like that. And, but man, when I tell you, I was like, enough. And I only read because I wanted those little Pizza Hut coupons they used to give out back in the day.
Oh my gosh, a throwback. Call back to that.
Right. You read a certain number of books, you get the Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
So I was like, bet my mom's not going to buy me Pizza Hut. Let me just go ahead and read these books so I can get the Pizza Hut.
That's what made it score pizza. Get good food right there. I'm
right.
Yeah.
So I built the skill. You built the skill unknowingly. So that's another nugget, guys. Like
there you go.
Sometimes you don't know, just do something. Build the skill. It'll help in the long run.
I don't know. I think we're following each other on Instagram, but I saw a recent post, a meme. It said that Pizza Hut should bring back the Pizza Hut per book, or get a personal pan pizza per book for adults.
Exactly. I would be right there, man.
I'll be all over it.
But literally, man, that's totally it. And I just remember, literally growing up, and I'm like, can do without this reading stuff. But they said Pizza House, I'll bet we're gonna read these books. we're gonna be accelerated reader. That's what
there you go.
We're gonna get these book points.
Incentives, math, right?
I was like, perfect, sign me up, like let's do this math, but that reading, that English, man, I was like, somebody else can do this for me. They can figure this out. But by the time I got to college, I just realized that it was going to be a part of my life, and I kind of had to suck it up and figure it out.
The incentive then became the grade, right?
Right. It's either you're gonna pass or fail, once you get to and my major where I ended off was family, youth, and community sciences. And so I felt like it was this perfect mix for me of like what I love to do. Family, youth, youth programming, young adult programming, all that kind of stuff. So it was like perfect for me. And I had to write a lot of papers.
Yeah.
So
it really pushed you on your English.
So I remember literally writing papers and learning all about the four horsemen and all these different things and all that kind of stuff. And so I had to be ready. Yeah. And I think it was definitely training for this era of my career.
Next question for you is, what do you remember most about middle school?
Oh my gosh. So middle school in particular? Man. So I remember, okay, this is probably not like a fan favorite for some, but my sister and my cousin, they are like, oh my gosh, when I tell you they have had my back for forever. And they're literally, I was like the only male in our house, but they really just felt this urge to protect me. And they were younger than me. And so I remember, I never forget, I think I had to be in 7th grade. I was either in 7th or 8th grade because they were new to like high school or new to the middle school. And something happened where this kid was like trying to fight me or something like that. And they remember they just went to try to fight him. Like they were like, "You're not gonna kill my brother." Like and for some reason, that is like this vivid memory. That I have of middle school. that science class doing something with mold. We made like these little mold. I think we were trying to see, I guess, how long it takes something to mold, and then like
Yeah.
studying like the fungi and all that kind of stuff. So we took like a whole bunch of like random items like chips and honey buns and all this kind of stuff, and everybody had to create like these little petri dishes where they literally let it mold for like half of the
Oh my God.
semester, so that you can go back and look and see
Yeah.
what is the. Oh my gosh, they probably should sanitize the high school. I'm not even gonna say what the middle school is, but it's sat there for some time. If we go back and we like look at it,
Yeah.
be like, okay, I guess I got a little bit more mold here. So those are like two memories that I will not forget. I don't know why. I have no idea why those two came to mind.
Something of a health hazard, maybe at your former middle
Look,
school.
maybe that's.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Dekendrick, so how did you learn about the Trio Talent Search program? How did that come about for you?
Yeah. Okay. So I remember being in middle school. So that's when I joined Talent Search. I was in middle school, and I was a part of what do you call it? The Beta Club, which is kind of like one of those honor society deals or something like that.
Okay.
And they had I believe they had brought it up about college opportunities, different things and stuff like that. And I remember they would literally pick us up from the school, and they would bus us over to Florida A&M University. So shout out to FAMU. And we'd sit and learn about different things about college going process, and some life skills and all that kind of good stuff. And then of course, feed us lunch. So I was always down for the free food, man. I'm like, perfect, yeah, feed me. So that's why I love to provide our students food. I'm like, well, let's get you some breakfast, let's get some lunch.
There you go.
Make sure the stomach is satisfied. You'll be a happy camper.
Yeah.
So it kind of kept me coming back. You get your little free food, learn a little bit of information. I was like, perfect, I can do this.
So in that getting that information, talk to us about your experience in Talent Search. What was that like for you?
Yeah, no, I'll never forget. I can't remember her name for the life of me right now, but she would always stand up front. She would just be talking to us. And oh my gosh, the Talent Search are like large programs. So I just remember there being like, 30, 40, 50 minimum students in that. It was like a cabin, some kind of like cabin lodge little deal that they had set up. And she'd just be talking to us about, different things and just kind of making sure that we had information to be successful. And as middle schoolers, there's only so much you could kind of retain, towards the college piece at that point. But she was really just sowing those seeds, just always there, always with a nice spirit, all that kind of stuff. And I feel like it really just did wonders for that introduction to college for me, because at that point my mom wasn't in school. None of my none of my uncles and my aunts had gone to college at that point as well too, I believe. And so, really this was like that first introductory, especially to outside of careers, outside of like the military careers, outside of like our local homegrown careers right there in Quincy, Florida. So it was really just this opportunity for exposure. And I really feel, I'm echoing that again, but I feel like exposure really was one of those change agents in my life, seeing the potential and the things that I could be. So shout out to FAMU ETS, and shout out to their current director, Miss Synovia Williams. She does an amazing job with that program. So shout out to her and the team there.
That's wonderful. So going to Talent Search, going to college then must have been a real priority at this point for you. Is that accurate in my assessment, or not really?
Oh, it was, man. It became like this super priority. Like, okay, you have to get to college. You have to, see what you can kind of get out of going to college. You have to take this opportunity, and whether that looks like going to a college that's local, because I had applied to Florida State, applied to FAMU, applied to like, was it Emory or Mercer University, FAU, all these kind of schools and stuff like that. But you have to get out there and see what it can bring for you. And it just became this priority that I was going to somebody's college.
Yeah.
I didn't know who I was going to at first, but somebody was going to help me get to their college.
There you go.
Well, they wanted to turn, I was going to be knocking on the door.
So you remind me of some of the interviews that I've already conducted with other Trio participants that have that similar attitude of, you know what, I'm gonna go to college. Don't know how yet. Don't know how it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen though.
Exactly. Like somebody's gonna help me work it out.
Mm-hmm,
Somebody help me
mm-hmm.
find some money. If I have to take out some loans, and back then, I was like, I wasn't pro loan at all. You know what I'm saying? But I became like, well, if that's what I'm gonna have to do, I have to figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least, that's why I tell my students all the time, like sometimes you just got to figure out life,
Right.
and go try to get the money. But if you
Right.
got to figure it out and start the journey, do what you got to
Absolutely.
do.
Absolutely. What stood out to you about being in talent search?
Yeah. I think it's just again that care and that attention. Especially being a middle schooler, I think that just having those extra set of eyes on you of people just wanting you to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Hidden Figures.
I did,
But
yeah.
I yeah, like I know trio directors to being like hidden figures, right? Like they're like behind the scenes,
There, yeah.
really supporting and anchoring like people in, until like their next chapters of their lives, even while in college, before college, and then even after college. Like I still keep in contact with like literally my whole upper bound people,
That's
the people
amazing.
from, like
Yeah.
the current talent search program, people at FAMU.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Maxwell, just saw him at COE this past September. you
Wow. Yeah.
know, so I still keep in contact with these people, and it's so funny because I'll never forget. I went to one of like my first trainings when I first became a trio staff member at Jacksonville University,
Uh-huh.
and in the training, Mr. Maxwell said, I just took Mr. Murray off my APR this year." So I was like, "Oh my gosh."
To think about it in those terms, right? The reporting and to
Right.
be, oh yeah, we phased you out of our
We
records
just
now.
phased you out. Like so it's like they're such great people, man. And I can always call them to bounce ideas. I can always call them to chat. A shout out to specifically the FSU Upper Bound program too, because they're working on a reunion for like
Oh,
all of
really?
the
Wow.
Upper Bound classes going back to like 1997 or something like that.
Whoa.
And so they just had a meeting last week. I jumped on for that, for like towards the end. But
Yeah.
shout out to Charlie Davis and Thurston Ward and Deontay Brown. He's the director and assistant dean over their care program at FSU. So they're working on some stuff there. But man, like I think that's really what stood out about talent search is that care, that concern, and
Mm.
like I said, just being hidden figures.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a great analogy. What about something that you learned while being in talent search?
Yeah. I think I learned definitely the groundbreaking of college. Like when you think about like the types of colleges, when you think about the cost benefit of going to
Yeah.
college, right? I don't know if we talk about that to students enough, but I mean, just the amount of opportunities that you can have from doors opening, from your various degrees, and different things and stuff of that nature. I feel like talent search was like that first groundbreaking piece that I got that knowledge of, okay, this is what a college degree can do for you.
Hmm.
And then also I feel like just talking about like the different life skills and stuff like that. Like I remember sitting, like I said, in that little cabin, going over just different like life skills and different things and stuff like that, and just making sure that we had, and as a matter of fact, financial literacy. I think that was my first taste of like talking about
Mm.
financial literacy and the
Hmm.
importance of money and different things and stuff like that with being in talent searching, and definitely, just that support.
Yeah, amazing. Very quickly, when did you know your time was up with talent search, or was there a transition phase there?
Yeah. So it was more so when I started high school.
Mm.
So right before I actually started high school, I started Upward Bound the summer before I started high school, and I was
Oh, wow.
actually one of only four freshmen. So they
Really?
had traditionally not accepted freshmen for the summer,
Right.
or very low numbers or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was one of four freshmen, and they let all four of us actually stay on campus too, as a part of like the
No
summer
way.
program with everyone, which was like, it was so foundational for me. Because it was kind of like this introduction. And so I kind of phased out of talent search, again,
Mm-hmm.
avoiding duplication of services and all that
Right,
kind
right,
of
right,
stuff.
right, right.
And started with Upward Bound going into that summer, and continued on with FSU's Upward Bound program until I graduated from high school. And I just felt like it was kind of like that pass off, right? We do that. We see it a lot when we transition the students from high school to college, but it was kind of like that soft pass off as well too, from middle school to high school. And how can you receive some more intensive support, some more hands-on support as you get ready to navigate this beast called high school.
Yeah, because high school can be very daunting. So talk to us about your time in high school. What was that like for you?
Yeah, man. So I remember, man, high school was like one of those things where if it wasn't for the additional support of Upward Bound, I feel like I could have easily gotten lost in the midst of it. I remember being a freshman and it just feeling a little bit overwhelming first getting there. I was also kind of like this. I was like outgoing, but I was shy at the same time. So I was kind of like this
an introverted extrovert.
Yeah, that's and so I was ready to get to know people, but at the same time, like, oh my gosh, this school is huge, and huge for me was our huge wasn't even over 1,000 people, but it was different from like our middle school,
right.
Where I knew everybody. And I had heard some of the things like how they threw freshmen in trash cans and like all this kind of stuff. So maybe somebody was just pulling my leg. But I was like, oh my gosh, what is this going to be like? So I remember starting high school, like freaking out,
You conjure all these right things in your mind. You're thinking, high school sounds like a nightmare as a middle schooler.
Right. So I remember getting there and I'm like, oh my gosh, walking through the big gate. And our high school had this really huge open courtyard. Like our high school was actually built in kind of like a square. So like basically the outside and the courtyard by itself was probably like 5 football fields or something like that. Like it was huge. And so I remember getting off the bus, you have to walk through the gate and all you see is this big open space.
Oh my gosh.
All these different crowds of people and all this kind of stuff. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this? So I'm trying to find people that I knew in middle school. We had I went from wearing uniforms every day in middle school to now I had to choose clothes and I'm trying to figure this out.
It's been an odd transition.
Yeah, it was just like all these transitions. But I'm like super happy that, Upward Bound literally started. I want to say if it didn't start that first week of school, it definitely started that second week. And so like I had this consistency that I could kind of get back to, every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, our Upward Bound staff members are there after school, meeting with us, helping us with tutoring, math, writing, all this kind of stuff. And it kind of created some sense of normalcy for me in the midst of that onboarding there. And like I said, I was like this introverted, extroverted kind of person. So I could do the social crowd sometimes, but then at the same time, I'm like, I don't really know. So that really gave me the chance to kind of know people in smaller increments and groups and stuff like that.
Right.
And really kind of just grow there. So that's how that piece was. Just that, man, it was such an interesting transition to high school. Me and my wife joke all the time about high school. We're like, oh yeah, do you miss that? Like, don't miss that. Don't miss that. College, I could have missed that one. High school,
I think you'll find more people who will miss the college years versus missing the high school years.
Right? Can we just close that out of the chapter?
It happened. We don't need to talk about it.
Right.
How did the transition to Upward Bound happen? Were you introduced? Did somebody refer you? How did that nice warm up handoff happen for you?
Yeah. So my god sister, I'll never forget, Valtrice Ford. She had been in the program, I think her 4 years while she was in high school. And I remember specifically going to her Upward Bound graduation. And I'm like, oh man, this is cool. I found out she used to be on campus, like living at FSU in the summers. They got the stipends. I'm like, oh, bet a little money, all this kind of stuff. So I was thinking about all these different things, and she had said, yeah, well, I'll talk to I guess she was going to talk to the program people at the time and stuff like that. And so I ended up applying, and I'll never forget Dr. Coleman. Love Dr. Coleman, and I get a chance to work with her all the time now. Working at North Carolina State University,
a full circle right there. But we'll talk about it here in a bit.
Yeah. And so I remember meeting with them for like my intake interview and all that kind of stuff. And ended up getting accepted into the program. Like I said, one of 4 freshmen at the time. Shout out to Courtney Baker. She was another one of those. Who else was this? Jeremy Gaiman and I believe they're. Oh, and Thurston Ward. Shout out to Thurston. That's like my childhood best friend right there. Love that guy. And we got accepted into the program and got a chance to live on campus and just really learn so much. Especially this was before we started high school, so we hadn't even gone to high school yet. So we got a chance to meet all these people. And as a matter of fact, it was Jeffrey Robinson. Jeffrey Robinson, if you listen to this podcast, Jeffrey was the one that told me that they threw freshmen in the trash can. and so that stuck with me. And he told me that summer. I'll never forget that. So he told me that. And it was like this craziest thing too. So I have a team of siblings, but two of my sisters and my brother, we were all in college, and not in college, but in high school at the same time. And so he also told me, he said, well, you don't have to worry about it. You're Neaudrey and Trudy's brother. Like, you'll be okay. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, but that stuck with me. But I remember, again, learning about the program, going to that graduation, and just really kind of seeing the effort. Especially as coming from middle school, I just really saw I could see that they loved on their students. And at that time, I probably wouldn't have had the words to describe it. It just felt like there was something familiar there. Like there was this support there. And then getting a chance to know them like throughout the years, man, like I literally wrote my college essay up for the University of Florida about the Upward Bound program. Oh, wow. And how it had just been like such a force in my life growing up. And my high school career, and just really kind of supporting me, and how they had just been such great parental figures, mentors, coaches. They still write some of my letters of recommendation today.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Just really great people to that really just cared and supported me in my journey. And so yeah, that I felt like I was just drawn to that energy, and I hadn't fully gotten to know them yet, but I was so drawn to that.
So that was going to be my next question of what drew you to that, but I really love how you already answered it, because that energy, when you notice it about the caring about the student and caring about their next steps, that's awesome and amazing. So I'll ask this question instead. Talk to us about your experience with the Upward Bound program, and what memory stands out the most for you.
Yeah, I would say one of my memories that stands out the most, specifically for FSU Upward Bound program, would be our senior trip. So every year every year they would take all of the graduating seniors on like a trip, kind of like looking at colleges, celebrating them, all that kind of good stuff. And I remember we went to South Florida, and just the one, I think, because we always usually traveled in big numbers, 30, 40, 50 students, stuff like that. But we were like in like two small minivans or something like that. And so it was just the seniors just really getting a chance to talk with the staff and have these real conversations. And we're about to transition to college, and what does this all look like for us? And so I feel like that was like kind of like one of like those fond memories that I'll never forget. And I also never forget, so our Upward Bound programming took place upstairs in the field house of our what do you call it, in the field house for our football field. So up there in the field house was where also like the dual enrollment classes took place, if you were taking like dual enrollment. So during the day it didn't kind of smell like hot musk. but I would never forget the faint smell of musk sometimes when coming up there for tutoring and different things and stuff like that. But also just the time and attention the team dedicated, man. I mean, we used to sit back there, run those computers rampant, applying for schools, applying for scholarships, literally applying for jobs, trying to find a little bit of everything. And they literally held our feet to the fire, man. Wow. Like if you did not do your scholarships, if you did not do your college applications, if you did not show up, do not expect that stipend. And I saw some people stipend on the lower side, because that participation matters. Oh no. So imagine everybody else getting their $40 for the month and your check look like 25 cents. You like maybe I should show up for it,
Incentive to show up.
Yeah. And so, I learned the value of literally hard work before I had my first job, because they were really training us up like, hey, you got to show up, you got to be invested. And I take
Yeah,
that same approach with my students, you got to show up, you got to be invested, you got to, be
absolutely.
committed to your access, right? For you to be able to access these things, but to your overall success. And so I'll never forget, like I said, I'll never forget that smell once sometimes. And I'll never forget, just the time and attention of our staff really to just support us, man.
That's awesome. So in high school, students typically begin to narrow down their list of preferred colleges and universities. What colleges were making your list at this point in your career in high school?
Yeah, definitely. So I applied to 6 colleges, University of Florida, Florida Atlantic University, University of West Florida, Mercer University, Florida A&M University, and then Florida State. Oh, actually 7, because I applied to Clark Atlanta as well too. And so because when I was also in high school in the FSU Upward Bound program, I had a chance to travel 2 summers to Morehouse College for the Upward Bound Regional Institute. And so that was just a super duper cool experience. So that's where I got a chance to meet Mr. Michael Maxwell. So shout out to him. He was the director at that time then. But I remember basically when I applied to colleges, I said, I definitely want to apply to one of the schools in Atlanta. I didn't particularly want to go to Morehouse at that time, but I said I definitely still want to go to the AUC, be in that area and stuff like that. And so those are the schools that made my list. I think I got into every school except for Mercer. So shame on you, Mercer. No, I'm kidding. and I think that I got a request from, I think it was like Florida A&M for like an additional letter or something like that, for a letter of recommendation, but I never submitted it.
Yeah.
So shame on you too, Florida A&M. No, I'm kidding. But shout out to them as well too. I love the admissions, enrollment, and engagement process. So shout out to all of the schools. But those are the schools that were on my list. I had a ping for pharmacy, as I mentioned, and then that background for mathematics. I just knew I had a love for math, and so most of those schools had good pharmacy programs and or math programs and different things like that. And I saw myself joining the ranks of one of them.
Right on. Awesome. How did Trio Upward Bound help you prepare for this college journey? You shared a little bit about what they did to help you with tutoring, running those computers down to the ground when you needed to find for scholarships. But what did in what other ways did they help you prepare for your college journey?
No, definitely. I mean, I will never forget our annual college tours, man. Going to see those various schools throughout the state, from, going to South Florida, seeing FMU and UM and all those different schools, to even seeing, other schools, and like, in other parts of the state, other schools in like Atlanta and all these different schools, so I feel like I just got a chance to explore. And I'll never forget, at the end of every trip, Mr. Charlie would stand in the front. He'd have his little megaphone or the little thing from the charter bus, and he'd be asking us questions like, what did we learn? What is
awesome.
what is this? What is their enrollment number? Or what is this? Or all these little random facts. And you can win some candy or something, by answering the question. So I'm like, bet, like I remember that. I can answer that one.
Yeah.
And I took that same thing for my students, and for my college students, I actually like will do a little one up for it. So like I may offer like some money. Like I'm like, hey, get a little cash,
Wow.
you can tell me what this is or something like that. So they always love that. For my Upward Bound students, one of the things that we always do is we will always raffle off some money too, but we also incorporate this part where they have to take lots of pictures. So they have to show us that they've been engaged during the trip. They'll submit video testimonials.
That's so creative.
And so just kind of like getting them to be a part of the process. So, because they're going to take pictures anyway.
Yeah.
so we might as well document
That's a great way to do it.
We might as well make this fun and engaging. And I definitely have to give a shout out to Mr. Tommy Walls and COE, the National Trio Honor Society Trio Alumni Association, as well as COE, because when we had our Trio Student Access Conference, I had decided I was going to give away $50 to the person who was the most engaged at the conference. And then Tommy said, well, not only will I double that So I'll not only will I give you $50, but I'll give 100. So he gave
What?
100. So we're able to give a student $150
Whoa!
at the end of that conference. And so,
Nice.
just those pieces of student engagement are like super, super, super important. And so
Absolutely.
I feel like they really did that a lot, trying to find ways to engage us, keep us interacted and just keeping their programs innovative. I never forget, we'd have the summer step shows and the pageants and all that kind of stuff, getting to know even some of the Greeks on FSU's campus. And I will also never forget being able to do work study as an Upward Bound student at the student union.
Oh, wonderful.
And so just those pieces then. So when I got to college, I knew what work study was, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't this foreign thing to me of what is work study. I had already had that experience working those weeks in the summertime to do that work study. So, just giving us those tangible experiences like that, allowing us to go throughout the campus, going to classes in the summertime, coming to campus on Saturdays sometimes, so really, really, really just this intentional programming that really, it really did shape me. It really helped to shape me. It really gave me lots of advice and lots of wisdom. And yeah, it was fun.
Wonderful. Outside of Upward Bound, how involved did you get with your high school?
Yeah. So in high school, man, I started off on the track team, but that didn't last very long. Love to run, but I was just like, you know what? Okay, we're gonna leave this alone. But I was also really involved in stuff like the student governments and the honor societies and the different things and stuff like that. I didn't do anything like a band or something. My sisters, they did band and all that kind of good stuff, but I didn't do anything like that. But I spent a lot of time in that student government space and student leadership space and stuff like that. I was our high school class president as well too. And so I spent a lot of time in that space there and just trying to help our fellow classmates plan activities and stay on top.
So you were presidential technically.
I guess we'll say that. Look, I'm just not American presidential. I'm sorry.
We'll keep working on that, Dekendrick. I think you are presidential material. Can you talk to us about the moment you graduated from high school? Do you recall what that felt like? What was that moment like for you?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I definitely remember that moment. And it was it was a profound moment for just it being something that, man, like I had made it. It was my family was there to celebrate. And my dad was there. And so I got a chance to, a little info on my dad. So shout out to my dad, awesome Stanley Murray out there. He lives in Orlando. But around my junior year of high school is when we started to form a relationship. And just to kind of have him there was so, it meant so much to me. He had traveled all the way from Orlando to kind of be there. And I think it all just was kind of like this full circle moment of, just our relationship and the growth that it was going to have and did have. And so that, I think that outside of that, that's the personal piece. But also I just felt like, man, I can now, I can go and let's go conquer the world a little bit. Let's see what's out there. Let's get out of Quincy and, go see the world a little bit and find out. Because, for my whole life, that's what I had known. I had known, Quincy, Florida. And so this was kind of like a chance to step out, see something new. And I'll never forget, and I didn't learn what this was until I got to college, but fight or flight, right? And so I would always joke with I always tell my college students that basically in college, you have a choice. You're either going to fight or you're going to flight, right? You're going to either fight and get through your situation and press through it, or two, you're going to flight and you're going to go back home. And so for me, I was like, when I got to college, literally my very first day, my mom had helped me get my room set up, all that kind of stuff, started my bank account. I had never had a bank account before, so we got that set up and everything like that. Yeah. She was like, all right, well, this is it, I'm like, wait, so you don't stay with me? Like, we don't.
Like, wait, where are you going?
She's like, all right, well, I'll be back in 6 weeks. So it started in the summertime.
Yeah.
And so it's like, all right. But perfect. So I get out the car, and like one of those movies where like somebody like just drives off or whatever. It was like
Yeah.
she like drives off, and like in my head, the fight or flight left instantly kicked in. And I was like,
Really?
either going back home or you're gonna stay here. And so
Yeah.
I don't know what kicked into me, but I became like a social butterfly. Like right then, I'm going downstairs, I'm
You
meeting students in
adapted.
the lobby, and I'm like,
Wow.
I just was ready for the experience, and I was determined to make the best out of my experience. And it was so funny because my mom came back like 2 weeks later. She was like, "Yeah, we're just in the area. We live like 2 hours away." I'm like, "Lady, you guys are not just in the area. You want to come and see
You're
me?
not
It's
just
okay."
passing through.
And so, just being able to just navigate the journey with, them and my siblings and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff is kind of hilarious.
Amazing. Dekendrick, I know it kind of spoilers already when we did that at the very top of the episode, but what
Uh-huh.
college did you end up choosing and why?
Yeah. So shout out to the University of Florida in Gainesville, Florida. Go Gators! Woo! And so I ended up choosing the University of Florida largely because at the time the scholarship funding, man, and I'm a first generation low income student. I was, and so it really provided me with this opportunity to receive the financial backing to go to school, and I didn't have to pay for anything. The 2 summers where I took classes and I had to take out loans were by choice. I said, hey, I want to get out on time. I want to do this. I want to do that. And so I
Right.
decided to take summer classes. And, I racked up about $5,000 in loans, but that got taken off because shout out to when I became a teacher, they got paid off.
There you go.
So,
Gotta think your way through
so
that. So that's amazing. Yeah.
right. And so because of that, I ended up choosing the University of Florida, and man, it was such a great experience for me, largely coming from predominantly Black area. It was a culture shock.
Mhm.
But going to a PWI, but it also really just taught me some life lessons. I learned about different people. I learned about different types of people. My high school only had like 5 white people in it. Like, we knew who they all were.
Yeah.
And so, but going to the University of Florida, like, it's majority, predominantly
Mhm.
white, and
Predominant white
so
institutions.
it
Yeah.
was like this polar opposite of my upbringing. But one of the things that I enjoyed about it was just the exposure. And just really learning about different races, different ethnicities, but then also even just learning about the different types of Black people.
Really?
Because for me, like I said, it was a predominantly Black area, but mostly everybody was African American. I get
Mhm.
to the University of Florida, you got Caribbeans, you got Jamaican,
Ah.
you got Trinidad, you got just a
Right.
little bit of every piece of the melting pot. And then my
Mhm.
wife is from like South Florida. So she's from like Margate, Florida. So for her, she's like, oh yeah, this is like the norm for me. I'm like, I've
Huh.
never heard a Black person speak with an accent. What do you mean?
Right.
Uh, so it was kind of like this new thing for me. And so I'm learning that too. I'm not
Yeah.
only learning about, other races, I'm learning even about, the African diaspora and what that looks like. And, I
Amazing.
think that also is what drove me to the Black Student Union and different things of that nature. But really, I just had this experience where I was getting a chance to just learn. And I think on the front end, it was just, hey, this is some good financial backing. This is a dream college. It could really, do some wonders for you and some of the goals that you might have and different things of that
Right.
nature. And man, it was some work. Shout out to UF, man. Y'all put people to work. We will say that you earn those degrees.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know, but UF actually doesn't give out Fs because F stands for Florida. So we give E's instead. And
I never
so
heard of that.
yes. So shout out to no E's being on the transcript. But man, we work for those degrees. So shout
There
out to the
you
University of Florida.
put it in the work. Put it in the work, Dekendrick. That's awesome. What preparations did you make to attend this college? Yeah. So what sort of preparation went
Yeah.
into it?
So
Yeah.
So I graduated number 4 in my class. I think my
Amazing.
GPA at the time was like a 4.11 or something. So shout out to all these kids now getting 5.0s and 7.0s.
I'm
I'm
hearing
like,
8.0s, Dekendrick. I'm like, what?
right? Like, how do you even get that? But I digress. So I graduated number 4 in my class, and so I would say academically, I was dual enrolled. So I took classes at the local community college. So shout out to TCC, Tallahassee Community College. And I started taking classes there during the beginning of my junior year of high school. And so, I got a chance to go into college, one with a good amount of credits to kind of get me started,
Mm-hmm.
from the basic English classes. And, when I was in high school, I think when I took like English 3, I actually took the college version. And so that actually counted for both the high school credit and the college credit. So it gave me kind of like these starting blocks that when I was able to, apply for admission and stuff like that, I did have, these courses kind of on my side. Like I said, a nice GPA, actively involved, doing community service, doing different things and stuff like that. And then really, like I sold my experience for the Upper Bound program and everything that it had given me the chance to kind of do and be exposed to, and stuff like that. So definitely.
Wow. Did Upward Bound help with any of that preparation?
Oh, hands down, man. They were right there, tooth and nail, editing our essays, listening to us whine. I know they probably got tired of us, so tired of us. But they were right there with us, coaching us through, telling us like, hey, yeah, maybe you want to revisit that, maybe you want to tweak how you say that, all that kind of good stuff there. Helping to fill out the waivers so that we could get the college application fee waivers and or the SAT, ACT prep waivers. They were like right there, tooth and nail, supporting it, hands down.
Do you remember how you spent your summer before you started college?
Oh my gosh. So what did the summer before I started college? Yes. So because I had started college in summer, right before I started at UF, what I ended up doing was I just took some time with my family. I remember I have a Facebook post that comes back, when Facebook does
Oh yeah,
that.
does that yearly kind of reminder?
Right, that yearly reminder. And there's this post that is like, well, wrapping up, I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
about to get up out of this thing. So excited, all this kind of stuff. And so I see this post like around this time of year, every few years or something. I guess it pops back up.
Please tell me you repost it. Do you repost it? Do you like share it again?
No, no, I never repost it. I'm gonna have to repost it one of these years. But it kind of talks about, yes, I'm just ready to go and all this kind of stuff. So just really excited. So was really excited to see the world. And so I really just appreciated starting school in summer though, man. When I tell you, I remember the very first day of summer school at the University of Florida. And I remember going into the library and I immediately turned around and walked back out because I was like, oh my gosh, I just felt overwhelmed.
Oh.
I don't know what it was about this thing of starting new things for me that just kind of like just felt overwhelming. But I literally remember, and I didn't want to look like a freshman because they told us in like the orientations, like, don't walk around with your campus map all open. You don't want to look like a freshman. So man, when I think about it, people were really sowing these seeds into my life that were not helping. So shame on you people for that. So I'm like, I'm not using my map. I'm just kind of like, trying not to look like a freshman. Walk into the library. I said, no, I gotta go. So I just turned around and walked on out. And it literally took me probably until the next week to go in there or something like that and just feel comfortable going to the library and sitting down. Because I'll never forget. So UF does this thing where they used to call it Destination Gainesville, where the Office of Admissions partners with a lot of the departments on campus, and they come to like your area and they usually give you advice on your transition to the University of Florida. I think now they call it like Day UF or something like that. I don't know the official name, so UF don't sue me. But they would come to your area and they give you kind of like advice and tips. And I'll never forget the one of the professors that came and he gave advice. He said, you need to go to class and go to the library. you need to go to class, you need to go
And
to
go
the
to the
library.
library. All right.
And then after you go get some lunch, so like go to the library. So like I had kind of like this mindset when I get to college, go to the library.
Yeah.
That's it. And that very first day, I was like, oh, I can't go to the library. Like it was not clicking that day. But I got it by week 2.
You got it by week 2.
3, I don't know, but I ended up getting it.
That's awesome.
I started going there regularly. But I just remember that.
Yeah.
I remember, that was in summer. So the cool thing, at least I think it was in summer. Yeah. So the cool thing is that when starting the fall semester, I was prepared, right? I had kind of lived through that freshman starting process and like the humps and the hurdles. I knew where things were. I knew which library was the best to study in. I knew where to get the food. I knew all these different things. And so that kind of made for a better transition versus if I would have started in the fall and there was 50,000 people there, because University of Florida campus is huge. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Big.
But our student population, man, it's huge. Like, I think it's like, I want to say it's like at least 45 to 50,000 students or something like that. So imagine just starting campus with that amount of people and just,
wow.
They used to always say about UF too that we have this area called Turlington Plaza, which is kind of like in the center of campus. But I would always say that every day during kind of like 12 noon, it had more foot traffic than Disney had because of the amount of people kind of like walking through and stuff like that. So, trying to do that in the fall versus starting in the summer was definitely super lighter. Maybe, minimal 2,000 or 3,000 students. It could be more walking around campus, but it just felt lighter. It didn't feel like, it was all the hustle and bustle. So I definitely appreciated that.
So talking about the fall semester, you brought up a very good, this will segue beautifully into this next question. How did it feel setting foot on campus that fall semester?
Oh my gosh. So coming back for the fall, it felt like super exciting, man, because summer was like that taste of, wow, this is what college is, different things and stuff like that. I lived in the international dorm my freshman year as well, too. Okay. So I got a chance to meet so many different people from so many different cultures. Both of my roommates my freshman year were Australian. And one of the craziest things, shout out to Justin Hugh if you ever see this, but he was Asian. And when I first met him, he started speaking, he had an Australian accent. And I was just like, in my mind, I was so mind boggled because country guy growing up. First, I had never seen many Asians, but 2, an Asian that had an Australian accent.
Oh, that would not register.
In my head, I was just mind boggled at first. He was like, "Yeah, what's up, mate?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" But so cool, so down to earth. Shout out to Justin. Yeah. He's like a lawyer now over in Australia. Wow. So we went back to Australia. We're friends on Facebook, all that kind of good stuff. And I just got a chance to live with him during that fall semester, and just seeing him just navigate college was something in itself. But me, it was just like, man, wow, it's this fresh start. I had already established some friendships from the summer. I had actually met my wife in the summer as well, too. That's one of the stories for another day.
Beginning of the well, we're doing a podcast part 2. With the
right. And so, just getting a chance to come back to campus, meet all these different people, see people again. It was like this really, really cool experience. I just felt prepared. I felt prepared to kick off the fall and go into it. And yeah, it was awesome.
So for many first-year students, a lot of information is thrown at them at a very, very fast rate. How did you process that? Because for a lot of students, that can be overwhelming. Sometimes the first 6 weeks is the determining factor that'll say, I'll keep going, or you know what, this is it, I'm getting off.
Oh, hands down, man. I hands down agree with you, man. And if it wasn't, again, for, the Office of Academic Support, the Match for Opportunity Scholarship Program, that first semester, because both of them were right there, we had like workshops, we had like general bodies meetings, stuff like that. And then we also met with, we had peer mentors. So I had a peer mentor that during my first semester that kind of helped me with that transition, because you're right, that information comes at you like, woo. So, it's so important to kind of have like some things or some people to kind of like ground you. So then that way you don't kind of get overwhelmed and you don't feel that you don't feel the pressures of it getting to you, because even when you go to your classes, those first 5-6 weeks, even the first week, all your professors are going over their different syllabi and different things of that nature. And so you're realizing, man, I got 30,000 assignments for this one class. And then for this other professor, I
Right.
only got 2, but they determined like 80% of my grade each. So, you know what I'm saying? Or 50% of my grade each. So it's like just navigating those pieces right there. So I feel like for me, I had to kind of really tap into those resources. And I don't know, I also felt like I was kind of like in that space too, where I was like, all right, well, we'll just kind of go with the flow. We'll see,
Right.
see what kind of happens. I don't know if
Right.
that was a good necessarily one to do, but I think that was kind of like my mindset. And so, but what I encourage our students now is I encourage our students to plan. We try to provide our students with planners so that they can go ahead and they can kind of make those self-assessments of, man, I got this due, I got that due, and just kind of being strategic, because it gets very, very real. And before you know it, 6 weeks turns into 10 weeks. And after the 10 weeks turns into 16 weeks. And before you know it, you finish your first semester just like that.
Yep.
So, really tap into those resources to build your routine so that even if it gets tough, something like that, you at least have the routine and consistency in place.
Absolutely. At the beginning of the episode, you said that pharmacy was something that you initially were interested in and you wanted to major in. Were there other programs or degree programs that you were considering?
Yeah. So my big 2 were pharmacy and mathematics. I had also considered like chemical engineering at one point too, because I just knew I had this love for math and science and different things of that nature. And another fun fact, when I worked for the University of Florida in 2018 to 2021, I actually helped to found I guess it's international now, a biological science conference called iDig Trio, with the iDig Bio Education Foundation. And so, so it's kind of like, again, I firmly believe the Lord is always working, because I still got a chance to do some of these things that I was interested in, and teaching students about STEM and STEM education and just the different types of careers that they could have. It's super awesome. So I think that's always been this kind of thing in there. So I've considered, at some point in my life, we have like these long lives. Like I said, I plan to live to be 106 years old at minimum. Give me some time, Jesus. And so, maybe I might have a career as a botanist or a biological scientist or something later in my life.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That's amazing. First of all, that's awesome. How did you end up learning about the Trio McNair program? Because you also joined that Trio program.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So McNair, man, shout out to Dr. Samisha Barnes, and shout out to Dr. Angelia Browdy, because I believe I learned about it first from her. And literally ended up because I had done Trio in high school, stuff like that. Found out about McNair. Oh, and the other person, Dr. Bernard Mayer. So shout out to him. He was the don't get me he was the associate provost for undergraduate affairs. Yes, that was his title. And now he works for like the American College Public Associations or Public Land Grant University, something like that, ACPL, something like that. Shout out to Dr. Mayer. He's awesome. And he had been a mathematician. And so I sat down with him, expressed my love for math, my interest in it as a career, different things and stuff like that. And ended up getting connected with the McNair program. Ended up applying, getting accepted. But then I had to, again, think about what I wanted to do as far as my research and stuff like that. Right. So that's when I was going through that final phase with my major of, okay, where do I want to land? Like, do I want to do this thing in math and just have that be my major? Do I want to pursue something different things and stuff like that? And so I settled on family, youth, and community sciences. And so I ended up doing my research specifically about upward bound programs and, program effectiveness specifically at Florida State University. So shout out to the team at the time for allowing my research to be about the program.
It's amazing. Very quick interjection here, Dekendrick. So my kids are about to come home. You're going to hear the doorbell. Just know we'll do a quick pause. I'll debrief them like our podcast is almost done. they'll go to the rooms
Yep.
or whatever. But just quick,
Nope, you're
we'll hear
good.
the doorbell ring. We'll take a quick pause and then I'll let them in and all that. So just FYI,
Perfect.
is that way it
Sounds
didn't
good.
come out across as awkward.
Oh, no. I totally understand.
Thank you.
Look, we had to
So
get my daughter down, so
and also I realized it's 9:30 over there, right?
yeah, it's
Oh my gosh, I hope I'm not
9:34
keeping you
here.
too long.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Me and my wife are gonna be watching what's it? College Hill with Celebrity College Hill
Okay,
after this. So
okay.
do a little
Totally.
session in.
I'll try to ask the questions a little bit more faster and try to get us along. I'm so sorry. I
Oh no, you're
apologize.
good. You're good.
What
This
did
has been
your
fun.
I'm enjoying this too. I'm loving this. What did your involvement in college look like for you?
Yeah, so man, so loved college and loved involvement. Of course, I was in the McNair Scholars Program. At the end of my journey, I had the chance to be the president of the Black Student Union. I had also had the opportunity to be the vice president for the Black Student Union, the assistant treasurer before that. I had also had some involvements with some things like student government as well. So I was a party president for some different things like that, campaign
Okay.
related, a few honor societies. I was also an Upward Bound tutor. So I got a chance
Oh,
to tutor
nice.
Upward Bound students
Nice.
for our Upward Bound program, University of Florida. So shout out to Dr. Barbara McDade for when that program. And now shout out to Dr. Michael Bowie, who's the who oversees the Upward Bound Math Science program that they just received as well too. So got a chance to do those things. I was a mentor as well too for student athletes. So I got a chance to specifically work with them on the transitions, creating vision boards with them. So all this kind of stuff that I was doing for Trio, I got a chance
Yeah.
to kind of do it in some different populations. So I enjoyed that as well too. And so shout out to some of my mentees who I see them also really excelling, like Najee Glass and Kelsey Stewart, both track as well as softball. Just kind of doing that kind of piece there. Those were some of the major things that I did that kind of kept me busy.
All right. Awesome.
And
Yeah.
fun fact, my senior year, I worked at the library from midnight to 6 a.m. So that was
Wow.
an
You
interesting.
worked a midnight shift there.
It was so real. I would not recommend it for anybody. And I wasn't a coffee drinker, so just imagine me
Oh my
sitting at a
gosh.
desk, like holding on by dear life. And I'll never forget it. I would get off work. I literally get off work. It'd be like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Drive my car like from the library, or sometimes, and I used to hate when I couldn't find a parking spot because I would have to take my car back to my apartment and
Yeah.
then like catch the bus up the street. So I was like, ah. But when I would walk into my apartment,
Oh.
one of my roommates was always getting ready for like his chemistry class or something like that. And
Yeah.
I would just go into my room and just like, don't talk to me. I'm like, I'm out. Like we wake up at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was not for the faint of heart.
Oh, I hear you on that one, and so relatable right now. In what
Yes.
ways did Trio McNair help you in your educational journey?
No, definitely. I think McNair, for me, also again echoed that ability for like writing and reading and just the importance of it. Having to write those literature reviews and having
Writing
to
comes back up
read
again.
so much. Even just tracking the colleges that you're going to apply to and doing the research and stuff like that. Dr. Barnes and Miss Rhonda Marks, we'll never forget Miss Rhonda as well too. They really, really, really worked so hard at making sure that, we had a solid understanding of the research process. I remember, during the summer, we'd be sitting in our GRE prep class.
Mhm.
We'd also be doing our poster presentations, and that's when I got a chance to take my first plane ride, because I took my first plane ride to DC, and I got a chance to present at the University of Maryland, Baltimore campus. They did a symposium there, like undergraduate research symposium conference there. So I got a chance to present there. And another side ironic situation about that flight. So this is my first plane ride, right? But this was literally when, I don't know if you remember, but that plane that was either, I think, leaving like Malaysia or something, and it like disappeared over like
Oh
the ocean
yeah,
or
the
something like
Malaysian
that.
Airlines. Yeah.
Literally, I'm taking my first plane ride that week.
Oh
So
my God.
So literally, I'm on the plane, literally
Yeah.
country guy, never been on a plane before, all this kind of stuff. My plane is over the water, landing on the DC airport. And I don't know if you're familiar with it, but when you're landing, it's like a little bit of water right there.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like freaking out. I'm like, wait, why is the plane going down? And they're like, dude, we're just like landing. But I'm
Yeah.
like, in my head, like, no, did y'all not see
This
this?
doesn't look right.
So it was an adventure. But McNair taught me, right?
Yes.
I got through,
There you go.
had a chance to see snow for the first time,
Oh,
got
yeah.
a chance to present some research,
Right on.
and just a lot of experience and exposure.
That's awesome. So we got to kind of still talking about McNair, because being in
Yeah.
McNair meant that you were thinking about more college, right? Because McNair meant you were going for a doctorate, or I think in some
Yeah.
cases for masters, but
Mhm.
that meant more college for you.
Yeah, definitely, man. And and I was excited for the journey. I've always wanted to receive my doctoral degree. And McNair was really again influential in that, wanting to help, I'm thinking about them and their APR. I'm like, how do I help you meet your APR goals?
Right.
As a professional now, with my journey. But just really McNair was there, just kind of like the exposure. Dr. Barnes coming from having gotten her like PhD in like engineering, or like I want to say she was like chemical engineering or some form of engineering, and then going into the actual sector and the works, the corporate America and all that kind of stuff, and then coming back to higher ed, all those different just things. So just hearing her talk about her journey, hearing Dr. Bowdy talk about her journey with education and going to Rhode Island and all these different things. And for me, so I was really excited to pursue that doctoral degree. And even for me, I also would love to be faculty at some point. And maybe that may not be my full-time or day-to-day role, but I want to do a little bit more adjunct instructing and stuff like that. Of course, I teach like UNIV 1100 courses and first year experience courses. But I want to do a few more courses in program evaluation and all the different skill sets and tools that I've kind of built along the way. But McNair was really integral in that process of having me think about, what kind of researcher I want to be. And even just learning that we're always able to add to the body of research, just
Absolutely.
by the things that we're doing and discovering. And I'll never forget Dr. Barnes would always say too, well, when you're writing your papers, right at the time where you feel like you have the most energy,
Yeah.
don't feel like
Oh
you
my
have to
gosh.
sit down every day for 3 hours at 7 p.m. when you know that you're not gonna be focused. If you wake up at 6 a.m. and that's when you feel the most motivated, go ahead and write then, And so those kind of things stuck with me, So definitely.
Wow.
It was such a crucial time in my life.
So being in the McNair program, you must have known, like, beyond the bachelor's degree that that you were at the time completing. What program were you trying to pursue, or what programs were you looking into?
Yeah. So literally when I was looking into programs, I was applying to, I actually gotten into some educational leadership education programs. I've gotten into some social work programs, so different things and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I've always kind of had this thing for something in the service counseling area, something like that. But I'll never forget Dr. Angela Browdy. We always talked about, the importance of your craft, right? And what kind of gets you going and stuff like that. And so for me, that counseling space, the youth space, is kind of like where I felt the most comfortable. So I've always kind of wanted to pursue that. As far as like my degrees beyond the bachelor's degree is kind of staying in the area, doing more research, learning more. I'm super duper excited to start this doctoral program so that I can, just learn even more. I had what do you call it? I had gotten access to like my Canvas course, and just even seeing like how I'm gonna be able to tie like so many different things in and stuff like that. So it's just super duper exciting to be now going to fully make that happen. But it's always been this interest in supporting people, Our one of our old church mottos used to be like love God, love people, love life. And
Hmm.
so, that's been one of those things that's been near and dear to me. So definitely that human service work.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Can you share with me the college decision process for graduate school? That must have been very quick for you because uh, you have a very narrow window usually to apply for graduate school, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So literally, it's such a narrow window, and what I ended up doing was, so I had gotten into some master's programs right after undergrad. But what I decided to do is I actually decided to delay and just do like I guess a gap year, a gap year
Yeah.
going into masters, and it was like I would say a gap 2 years, and then
Mm,
I
mhm.
ended up deciding to pursue my masters at Jacksonville University. But I had gotten into some programs, and you're right, that timeline is so quick, and you kind of have to be on it.
Yeah.
We're seeing some of our students now get accepted to like some awesome master's programs and stuff, and I think they're realizing that that window kind of comes at you really quickly.
It
But
does.
for me, the things that I looked at and still even look at now when I've looked into programs was, which programs are aligned with what are my goals? Are there
That's
faculty
important.
that have similar experiences that I want to have? So, I have this love for, counseling, but I also have this love for like programs and program evaluations and stuff like that. And so,
Hmm.
are there any faculty that have these special niches that I can work with that are already currently doing research? And so those are all great things to look into. And one of the things that I loved about McNair as well too is that they encourage us to reach out to those faculty members, establish that rapport, let them know that hey, your application is coming.
Yeah.
And they always say, don't ask them the stuff that's on the website. Don't ask them anything you can find directly on the website, but find like some questions that you can make some connections with them. And see if you can get them on a call, see if you can get them on a Zoom meeting, and shoot your shot. Have your elevator pitches together,
Oh yeah.
and see what that can kind of lead to. And so I took that approach when looking into doctoral programs and different things and stuff of that nature, as well as master's level programs. Are there faculty there that I can connect with? And even just asking people who've done the programs, like, what do you think?
Yeah.
And people will keep it real with you. I remember I had got into this one program. I'm not going to say the school, but I thought I was able to speak with one of the people in their program. I said, yeah, so what do you think about this? No. And so I said, well, that is all I needed to hear. That is all I
That's
needed
all I
to
needed.
hear. So, utilize your resources because people will keep it real with you. They will,
Yeah.
as they, what's that TikTok quote that says, I'll always tell you a joke, but I'll never tell you a lie.
Yeah.
Like that is it. People are
That's
not out here
true.
lying to you, man.
That's true. So true. What inspired you or ignited your research in looking into the upper bound programs?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, at having been in the program, man, it had truly had this impact on me. And I think I just really desired for other people to kind of see, the effects of these awesome programs, right? And as researchers, of course we are unbiased and we call the facts as they are. But
Right.
for me, I also really just wanted to advocate for our programs, advocate for more opportunities, for more funding, for more support,
Hmm.
because these programs had really just done a number in helping me to be successful. So I was like, oh, I have to like see what's out there,
Yeah.
and I mean, if the data came back that it wasn't effective, then I guess we're gonna have to report it. But I was happy to share that
Right.
it had been effective.
Yes.
We had a chance to do all these recordings with students who had been a part of the program and kind of getting their testimonies and the transcribing and all these different kind of things. And so I think it was just really this again this desire to see the programs advocated for. And I still try to take that approach in my day to day now, whether that be on campus, whether that be talking to legislators or different things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Trio truly works, and I think that the more people that know it, the more people that recognize it and choose to celebrate it, the more that we can continue to make impacts in our nation and internationally for our students. So
Absolutely. Absolutely agreed. What type of career were you hoping to attain after graduation from college?
Yeah. So I always knew that I was gonna teach for a period.
Hmm.
But for me, I just felt like I would always end up doing something different. I don't think at the time I could put my finger on what it would be. But I knew that I had this interest in being an educator and then just really serving people, serving the community. You know, and so I think for me, it was just really like, some sort of human service work. I
Hmm.
had looked into, different jobs, and I knew that I had become a teacher. I had considered a principal, and I considered an administrator, those kind of things. I had considered a superintendent at one point
Wow.
because I just
Okay.
knew I wanted to be in the space of working with youth, young adults, and all that kind of good stuff. But I always had that little itch to support Trio as well too, and so shout out to my wife again too for her advocacy because it led me right back to something that now I've been in almost 10 years now. So working with Trio program. So it's
That's
definitely
amazing.
been a journey, but that's kind of like where I started.
That's amazing. Talk to us about the moment you obtained your bachelor's degree. What was that like for you?
Oh my gosh, man, that felt so good.
Yeah.
And it felt super good because, one, having been first generation, and my mom had just like graduated like right before me. So I
Oh,
think
yeah, yeah.
I think she graduated my junior year of college.
Mm.
So literally, I remember her graduation. We're celebrating her.
Yeah.
But having kind of gone through that process of being first gen and just really navigating the college space, I really felt like, man, I did this. Like the family did this. This is such an opportunity. And I think of anything, I saw the hope, right? I saw like the hope in what could happen. I saw the potential. I'm really one of the things I'm really big on is social mobility for people and
Hmm.
social mobility for families and stuff like that. And so I believe in, I mean, it doesn't have to mean everybody in your family goes to college or something like that, but just being able to take your family to that next level. Each person should be able to pass the buck for your family to grow in some sort of way with the generations. And so I just saw the potential for social mobility, for
Yeah.
my daughter to grow up with more than what I had growing up. And at that time I didn't have kids, but my future kids to grow up with that. I saw the potential for just opportunities for travel and doing the things like going skiing. Again, like I said, I'm from the country. So, all these different lived experiences, I just saw those potentials, and saw that potential is just an opportunity to continue to just be exposed to life. I love learning new things. I love seeing new things. I tend to be a very consistent person, but
Hmm.
I love the ability to have a new adventure, and stuff like that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Can you talk to us about the start of your graduate school journey? Was that something you were doing while you were also working full time?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So I was working 40 hours a week
Oof.
while also getting my master's. And shout
Goodness.
out to JU because it was a hybrid program. So I didn't have to go to class every single day. So that was awesome. But I took 7 credits a semester. And master's level credits
Wow.
are work. So
Yes. Oh,
you earn those
I hear you.
degrees.
I
And
hear you.
so I would literally go to work and I think my shift was like 7. I want to say I started work at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. at that time. And I
Hmm.
get off work at like 4 p.m., go home to, have dinner or something with my wife, catch up with her, and go to class literally from 6 to 9 p.m. or 7 to 10 p.m. That's what it was. It was one of those. I can't remember which one, but I know I got out of class late. And
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
would do I would do that. We had class 2 days a week, but one day it was always like virtual and or we submitted some kind of discussion post or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was work, man. It was so much
I,
work.
the Kendrick, I when I hear you talk about that, I'm getting flashbacks, some PTSD probably from my days of
Yes.
graduate school too.
Oh my gosh, it was so much work. And I was like,
So much work.
but it was, I mean, when I tell you, when like I felt like I was definitely present for all of it. But when I tell you when I
Mm.
got to the end, I was graduating, I was like, woo, thank you, Jesus. exactly. Because it was real.
It
And
was real.
my wife,
Yeah.
so my wife, she graduated with a bachelor's in political science.
Mhm.
And she's actually about to get her MPA this fall.
Oh,
So shout out
nice,
to her.
nice.
Uh, but she's an
Oh,
excellent writer. So if anybody needs some help writing your events, reach out to her. Shout out to Sabrina Murray. But she's an
good.
excellent writer.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
again, shout out to my wife. She is an awesome grant writer. So if anybody needs some help with some grants, holla at that girl. But one of the cool things is that she's such a great writer. So she'd be like, "Hey, babe, like, could you like help me like write this paper? Like, give me some advice, help coach me, something like that."
Yeah.
And she was like, "No, you got this." And I was like, "Wait, what? Like, you're supposed to be my help me, like, help me figure
Help
this out."
me, please.
And so she's like, "No, you got this."
Yeah.
And what it really taught me was like it really taught me one, like the importance of self-confidence, right? Because again, I had this whole journey my whole life with English and writing. I was just like, no, I don't know if I can do this. Even in college, I was struggling and powering through, so I had that little confidence. But she really was like, "No, you got this." And
Yeah.
so I remember I would be literally at times I was frustrated at first. I'm like, why don't she just help me figure this out? She's so smart. She could just help, do. And so literally by the time I graduated, she was like, "Don't you feel good? Because you can say that you did that." And I was like,
Oh, that's
"You know
awesome.
what?
Yeah.
You're right." It felt so much better.
Yeah.
And so, but I'll never forget. I used to be like, "Come on, babe, like, please help me figure this out. Come on, like,
Yeah.
I need your review. I need your instant." She's like, "No, you got this."
Yeah.
I'm like, "All
Yeah.
right, perfect. Love you, boo."
Oh,
But she's always believed in me, and
oh, that's wonderful.
always just pushed me to be, my very best self. So again, shout out to her.
Awesome. Talk to us about the moment you graduated with your master's degree. What was that like for you?
Ooh, man, oh my gosh. I was like, "Yes, Lord." I was so excited. I remember sitting there like, "Ooh, I'm so happy." And my wife was pregnant at the time too. So I was also thanking God that, "Lord, I'm so happy that this baby was not here just yet while we were doing this because it was gonna be real."
Oh,
And I was like, and then after having my daughter, because I
yeah.
think she was born, oh my gosh, I graduated May. I guess I graduated like April 20th or something, April 28th. And
Mhm.
we had my daughter on June 22nd. So she was like,
Wow.
it was almost that
Yeah.
time. And so after the going through the haze of what it is having a newborn, I
Yeah.
was like, I am so happy that we did not have a newborn during the midst of me being in college,
Yeah.
in my master's program, because it would not have been the most favorable time. Like I just
Yeah.
knew the way that I was set up, it was not going to work well. And that's
Yeah.
largely one of the reasons why I waited on my doctoral degree, because I had to make sure the season was right for the
Absolutely.
family, you know. But I just remember just being so happy. My mom drove down. My nephew came with her, and so it was just a really cool experience of like, man, just to kind of see that, to get hooded.
Yes.
Man, that just felt so cool, just to
Absolutely.
receive that. And it's actually hanging on my office, in my wall in my office. So
That's awesome.
I use all of my stuff from college, my caps and my actual graduation caps. They're on
Mhm.
my walls in my office as well too. Just to show our students that you can do it. You can be successful. Literally, even I think I used to have the gowns up there. I used to have gowns actually
Oh,
hanging as
really?
well too, but now I just have like the caps up there and like all my little stoles and all that kind of stuff, so they can see a little bit of themselves, when they come by, that hey, I
That's
can actually
important.
do this and I can get this done.
Absolutely. Can you share with the audience about how you arrived to your current position?
Yes, yes, yes. So, I have arrived to my current position. I've worked in Trio, like I said, for almost 10 years. And so, I was working at the University of Florida. Love, love, love being under the direction of Dr. Angela Browdy. And me and my wife, we had always felt called to the area of North Carolina.
Mm,
We just felt like this is where the Lord was leading us. Had kind of had like some different dreams and all that kind of stuff. And so we just felt like this is where we're supposed to land. And ended up finding out about the role, I had reached out. Actually, I found out about my initial role because I had reached out to Dr. Coleman at the time, as well as Dr. Giovanni Felix, and I just said, hey, you all, I don't know if there's anything you all know, some different things and stuff like that. We're interested in moving to North Carolina. So they told me about a few different roles actually that were at NCCU, but also at some of the other colleges here. And so I ended up just starting to apply around. I got some offers at another school in the area, got some offers at NCCU. And NCCU just felt like the right place to go. At that time, it was also close to church, some church family members, some mentors, and all that kind of stuff. And man, I have loved being there. I feel like I've grown so much. I feel like I'm under leadership that allows me to dream and imagine and be innovative in our programming, who trust me to kind of really support our first generation students, our students with disabilities. And it's just been this super cool, awesome experience working with them all, and just kind of being in the area. I've learned so much about myself in my role as director of student accessibility services, but I've learned also about so much about myself as the director for SSS disability, or TRIO student access program as we call it, and the upward bound programs. And so it's just this super cool experience of just growth and development, and just pushing and challenging myself, challenging my team, and just growing. So I've been loving it, man.
Wonderful. What do you enjoy most about this work?
Yeah. I think I enjoy the seeing like the students, or seeing like my staff kind of be celebrated, affirmed, and accomplish their goals. We recently had our end of year celebration, and we're able to give out stoles, graduation stoles, and awards, and all these different kinds of things. And I had so much fun doing it. And one of my students came up to me afterwards, and she said, "Well, Mr. Murray," she said, "well, you didn't get a trophy." And I said, I said, "No," I said, "it's okay. Like, this isn't about me. Like, this is about you all. Like, I'm excited to celebrate you. I'm excited to, see you go to college, or see you graduate from college, see you, get that master's degree that you were talking about, see you start your career." One of my students at the University of Florida, who I had a chance to work with, she now is in a doctoral program at Chapel Hill.
That's
in the
awesome.
area. And so she often comes over. I always reach out. I'm like, "Hey, Luz, could you come and talk to my students?" And so she'll come and talk to my current students about, TRIO and what it did for her and all that kind of good stuff. And, how she even stayed in contact with some of the people that did workshops for us. So much so she was actually able to become a homeowner, like 2 years ago or something like that, having just graduated from college and all this kind of stuff. And
That's
so,
amazing.
I think it's like I have a colleague, her name is Daphne Davis. She's our assistant dean of students. So she always says the hard work, right? She said this work is like hard work. And so I just love that I'm doing hard work, man. And I get a chance to work with students, work with awesome staff members. I love to do consulting as well too. So shout out to anybody looking for some trainers to help train teams, team building.
Quick plug.
And quick plug. I got you. I'll be training all summer. But I love to do stuff like that. And just love to really see change and people feeling supported. So definitely.
I definitely feel that energy. You as an educator, you as someone that's very passionate about the TRIO programs and helping. What is something you would like to tell or say to all TRIO professionals across the country?
Yeah. I would love to say, man, TRIO professionals, man, you are valuable. Like, you are such change agents to society, change agents to the future, change agents to this generation and the future generations. And so if you ever feel tired, if you ever feel weary, do not grow faint at heart. You are doing hard work. And so sometimes it can come with challenges, but man, you are so important to the next generation, man. You're hidden figures. And so you're so needed. We're also this big community and this big family. So, never feel like you're in it by yourself. I know sometimes some of our new TRIO programs, you're brand spanking new. So they're trying to figure things out from the ground up. holler at me, especially if you're building upward bound programs or SSS programs, holler at me. We can work together. We just hosted a training, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, on like creating virtual summer enrichment programs. And one of the people who attended afterwards, we had a whole like 40 minute extra conversation afterwards. And I gave her like my cell phone. I'm like, hey, hit me up. Like it is real out here. And so let's all
Wonderful.
support each other in this journey. So I just want you all to know that you're valuable, man, and you're truly a hidden figure. And the work that you do does not go unnoticed.
Wonderful. That's great advice slash information for TRIO staff. What about advice do you have for TRIO students at any level, whether they're talent search, upward bound math science, McNair, educational opportunity centers, veterans upward bound? Yeah. What do you have to say to them? Any advice that you could share for them?
Yeah. So I'd say two things. One, TRIO works, guys. So definitely, please participate in TRIO. Please participate in TRIO. I'm gonna say it one more time. Please participate in TRIO. We need you to participate.
One more time for the folks in the back.
Right. Please participate in TRIO, right? We need you all to participate. We need you to show up to events. We need you to interact. And I know sometimes you may feel like, man, I got 15 different things going on. My lights just went out at home, or this just happened. I understand life is happening. I just want to encourage you that we're here to support you, and we want to see you to be successful, see you be successful. So, please show up, please participate, please help us show the federal government that we need more money because, we're supporting so many students, and we want to be able to support more. So I encourage you all to please show up, right? That's my first piece. My second piece is believe in yourself. Believe in your potential. You are not an imposter. You are not selected for that program just for any old reason. I believe in divine appointments. I believe that the Lord has some things in store for you. So please take advantage of that and believe in yourself. You can get through college. You can be successful, and you can go and live an amazing life, inspired, and you can do just these awesome things that you've never got a chance to do before. And if you need any proof, you're looking right at it. Like I said, single parent home, country living, and I've gotten a chance to just have so many different lived experiences now that I'm just so grateful, man. The Lord often reminds me of just being just grateful and just the spirit of thanksgiving, man. I'm just so thankful because of TRIO. It really just provided me with so many different opportunities and so many different connections. So believe in yourself and participate in TRIO.
There you go. Wise words from Dekendrick Murray. What do you see yourself doing 5 to 10 years from now?
Yeah, so I guess 5 to 10 years from now, I see myself continuing to be in higher education, moving and shaking for students. At that point, I see myself continuing to grow in my leadership, and my leadership experiences, maybe overseeing more programs and different things of that nature. Having finished my degree, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Doing some counseling in my own private practices, but also, in some other areas, and just really helping to empower the next generation. And then, who knows what the good Lord has, but I just see myself really continuing to pour into people, and continue to grow and lead others. So definitely.
In the vein of that reflection, I would like to pose this question to you. What is one word or phrase you would use to describe yourself?
Yeah. I guess if I would have to use one word or phrase, I would say that I am grateful.
Grateful.
And I would say that I'm grateful because, life can really throw you lemons.
It really can.
Yeah, and I feel like, man, there's been so many different things that I've been able to grow through personally, professionally, different things and stuff of that nature. But I just feel really grateful for everything that I have experienced, but also everything that I've been able to grow from, you know what I'm saying? And all those different kinds of things. So I just feel really grateful. And I think that staying in that state, it's kind of like a state of protection because it keeps you from being overwhelmed by the woes of life. And it's like a nice recentering whenever you feel like flustered, whenever now if I feel myself getting overwhelmed, sometimes it's just like, thank you, Lord, for waking me up today. Just
Yeah.
thank you for like
Yeah.
the small things. And that's easier said than done sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But
True.
I found that, when I stay in that space, life tends to feel a little bit easier. It may not be, but it tends to feel a little bit different.
It
And
does.
sometimes that
Yeah.
feeling of relief is what we need, especially when we're balancing the ebbs and flows of life, and stuff like that. So I would definitely say grateful.
Absolutely. So I'm going to reframe this next question because we know that you are starting your educational journey for your doctorate. What are you most
Woo!
excited? Yeah, woo! What are you most excited about starting this doctoral journey for you?
Yeah, man. I think I'm most excited about one, meeting some people in my cohort, my classes, that are doing this as well too, and really just getting all of the facts, man. I think in my current work, I see so many different things, but the
Hmm.
fact that I now have a book that talks to me about like literally like approaches to conducting community counseling sessions, I'm like,
Whoa.
this is what I needed,
Yeah.
of course, there's all these best practices and different things and stuff like that. But I'm so excited to kind of like read into that a little bit more. Even this other book, I have this one, which I can't. Oh, actually, it's right here. For one of my classes, there's this thing called the Group Therapy Treatment Planner. So it talks
Mm,
about every single diagnosis like known to man, and it
wow.
gives you like advice on like how to like review them, how to support people, all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, yes, this is it. So actually, like buying my staff this book,
There you go.
you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, let's learn some different things, especially because especially specifically too for my accessibility staff, we receive information about students' diagnosis on entry. So,
Yeah.
we can learn a little bit more information to better support our student population, different things of that nature. So I think I'm really excited for that piece to gather all of this knowledge and be able to help to improve our programs and services for students.
Yeah.
Offer different trainees for our TRIO people throughout the nation, other accessibility offices and programs throughout the nation, and just really supporting people in their success. So I think that's what's really exciting about it.
That's wonderful. Um, Quick follow-up question, and I'm going to
Mhm.
say outside of academics, Dekendrick. That way, I know that you're really excited about your doctoral books and all of that. So I'm going to say outside of academics, what are you
Uh-huh.
currently reading, listening, or watching that you would recommend to the audience?
Yes, yes, yes. What am I currently reading, recommending, or watching? Okay, so I'm not currently reading a book right now, but there are some books that I've read before that are like, I love them.
Hmm.
I'm going to my little Kindle app here.
Ooh.
There's a few good reads out there, man. I'm telling you, I love some good books on like mindsets.
Oh
So
yeah.
one that I really love, is that I want to say it's Daniel Goleman. I'm gonna see if it pops up in a second, but it talks about like leading with emotional intelligence. And then
Ooh.
there's one about like working with emotional intelligence, like how to just be a person, right?
Yeah.
And it one of the things that I love about it is that it really talked about the importance of laughter, right? And how laughter is really key to productivity. Laughter is really key to like balancing the body, different things and stuff like that. So
Right.
even like tonight, I feel like we've laughed so much, you know what I'm saying? And it does this thing where it's like it allows people to have these connections.
It
It
really
allows you
does.
to
Yeah.
feel more emotionally regulated, like all this kind of stuff. So that one right there, I love that book. So definitely check that out. It's one called Leading with Emotional Intelligence and then Working with Emotional Intelligence. And like I said, I think the author is Daniel Goleman.
Hmm.
Um, Something that I am listening to currently, me and my wife were actually just listening to this podcast by Tim Ross. He's a pastor, and so he has some really good stuff that we hear sometimes through there. Um, I love to be challenged, and at the same time, I don't like to be challenged. So I'm kind of like this in the middle thing where I like my challenges some days, and some days I'm like,
Right.
I'm not ready for it. But I love when people can kind of like challenge me to think, a little bit differently and think a little bit more. And so I love listening to Jackie Hill Perry. She will do that for me every time. um, and then I guess I'll say a show that I'm
Hmm.
watching. A show that I'm watching right now. Me and my wife have barely been watching Married at First Sight. So
That
that's kind
sounds
of like her
interesting.
thing, but I just kind of like
You're
fell
like,
into it by
I guess
association.
I have to watch
And
this.
right, and I got into The Bachelor too. So shout out
Okay.
to that, The Bachelor, Bachelorette. So really excited to see old girl come back as a Bachelorette. Hopefully she hits a good pool of men. But I would say those are kind of like the shows right now. But I'm really interested. We're gonna be checking out, like I said earlier, the College Hill Celebrity Edition. They came out
Right
with
on.
season 2 tonight. So I'm interested to see how that goes.
Oh my
And
gosh.
music, man. Oh, if people have not heard, um there's a few different artists, but there's this one song called Mercy by House Fires and Aja Walls. And I just love that song. I can just sit and listen to it and just Lord. But I love some good worship music. I keep music on, like, it's not 24/7, but music is on in my life a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just keeps, me calm, keeps me regulated, keeps me in that space of like where I want to be. Yeah, I love that song. That's like one of my favorite songs right now. I can just listen to that on repeat.
Wonderful. Dekendrick, it has been a true pleasure to interview you, and I hope to have you on. We already promised the audience that we do a part 2, so we need to
got
follow
to,
up.
man.
Follow up for sure. So we hope to have you on again in the future.
Definitely.
So we have a tradition on the Let's Talk Trio podcast, Dekendrick, where we have the guests sign off. Do you care to do the honors?
Sure. So, hi, everybody. My name is Dekendrick Murray. I'm a 4-time TRIO alumni of Upward Bound Math Science Regional Institute, Talent Search, and the TRIO Ronald E McNair Scholars Program. I graduated from Jacksonville University and the University of Florida, and I'm currently pursuing my doctoral degree at Liberty University. I serve as the Executive Director for Student Access and Success at North Carolina Central University. And last but not least, TRIO Works. Woo!
Are you a participant, alum, or staff of a TRIO program? Do you want your program highlighted? You or your program could be featured in an upcoming episode of Let's Talk TRIO. Get a hold of us by going to our Facebook page or Instagram and send us a direct message. Search for Let's Talk TRIO. We want to get your story to the public.
That was our guest, Dekendrick Murray, 4-time TRIO alumni. Thank you so much for being on the podcast and for sharing your TRIO story. Remember, if you would like to be on the Let's Talk TRIO podcast or know a staff, advocate, or participant or alumni, send us an email at letstalktrio@gmail.com. That email again is letstalktrio@gmail.com. Again, a huge thanks to our sponsors, Angelica Villalpando, Dr. Jamie Motley, Dr. Ryan Barone, Angelica Valdez, Rosario Riley, TRIOJoblist.com, Jaded Electronics, and Student Access. Thank you all so much for your continued support of this podcast. As a reminder, you too can be a patron, a supporter, or a sponsor of Let's Talk TRIO podcast. To be a patron or supporter, head on over to Patreon, search for Let's Talk TRIO, choose one of 4 categories to be our patron. $1 a month is our lowest option, and you can definitely support us for $1 a month because $1 a month does really go a long way in supporting this podcast. If you own a business and would like to place an ad on this podcast, connect with us at letstalktrio@gmail.com. You'll go through our Patreon page, become a corporate sponsor, and for $100 a month, we will weave in your ad on this podcast. If you would like to be simply a supporter of the Let's Talk TRIO podcast, head on over to PayPal and type in our business handle at Let's Talk TRIO. That at handle again is at, the symbol at, LETSTALKTRIO, all together. And you can donate any dollar amount from there, from $1 to $100. Whatever you feel like giving would help us keep the lights on for this podcast, pay the bills, upgrade equipment, etc., etc., etc. Thank you all so much again. I'd like to take a moment to thank our honorary members of the Let's Talk TRIO podcast, Roderick Chambers, Tony Ho, Scott Kendall, and Susan Cramp. The Let's Talk TRIO podcast team is John Russell, audio engineer, music producer and composer, and post-production editor. Amelia Castañeda, script supervisor, marketing manager, social media manager, and producer. Juan Rivas, executive producer and host. This episode was recorded Thursday, May 11th, 2023. Remember, your right to vote is extremely important. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode.